when you awaken from a deep slumber only to discover your entire sect, from its leaders to its newest disciples, has vanished. You shall traverse into the world of cultivation. I, by chance, became a reserved disciple of the paramount power, the Tai True sect. Today I found the entire sect gone, only to then receive a notification from the system. In 3 years, this world will face the Great Tribulation of heaven and earth, an era when all living beings shall be mercilessly slaughtered. Believing the sect had fled after learning of this impending doom, I began frantically gathering all the sect's resources to elevate my cultivation realm. Yet I was oblivious to the truth. The entire sect had not simply vanished, but had been accidentally trapped within a secret realm situated directly above their own grounds. Thus, everyone within the Tai True sect could witness my every action. They watched as I brazenly entered the scripture pavilion, consuming 8th grade spiritual liquid as if it were common water, and devouring 9th grade medicinal pills as if they were mere sweets. The sect elders were uniformly enraged, declaring, "This young brat cannot be tolerated." But when they discovered I could achieve a breakthrough in a single day, and even casually refine 9th grade medicinal pills, the entire sect was utterly dumbfounded. This young one is the hope of our sect. Meanwhile, I, oblivious to their plight, was still wandering about, having just discovered the collective disappearance of my entire sect. I stood frozen in disbelief. Damn it, what in the world is happening? Just as I was immersed in doubt and contemplation, a cold, mechanical voice echoed within my very consciousness. The strongest self-salvation system has successfully linked. It has been detected that the host's current world will undergo a great tribulation of heaven and earth in 1024 days. This tribulation shall cause countless living beings to perish tragically. Only by attaining the cultivation of a heavenly venerate can one grasp a sliver of hope for survival. This system shall exert its full power to assist the host in surviving the great tribulation of heaven and earth. Upon hearing this, I was utterly stunned. But then an even more incredulous thought struck me. So they didn't disappear after all, they simply fled first. A stampede of a myriad horses seemed to gallop through my heart. You fled, that's fine, but why did you not take me with you? Was I not worthy of joining your escape? So I questioned the system. Oh system, what are your functionalities? Let me be clear up front, this current body possesses very little cultivation aptitude. If you intend to rely solely on me, then all our efforts are doomed to fail. The system responded instantly. Host, the primary function of this system is to aid in cultivation. It will employ various methods to guide you step by step into becoming a true powerhouse. Presently, a guiding initiation mission has been issued. Report to the Sect Scripture Pavilion. This guiding mission possesses considerable difficulty. Upon its successful completion, you shall receive a reward. Your innate talent will be increased 10,000-fold. Upon hearing this, my entire being trembled. Never had I imagined the system's rewards could be so astonishingly extravagant. The Scripture Pavilion had always been a vital sanctum of the sect. As an outer disciple, I fundamentally lacked the qualifications to even approach it. But now, with not a single soul left in the sect, this mission presented no difficulty whatsoever. I immediately set off. Simultaneously, within an ethereal void situated above the Tai True sect, all disciples and high-ranking elders found themselves ensnared. This realm, known as the Tai True Ruins, was originally a place of cultivation and fortunate encounters for the sect's disciples, opening only once every 10 years. This time, as the high-ranking elders led the disciples out for tempering trials and prepared for their departure, they discovered the exit had unexpectedly sealed itself. The sect disciples continued their cultivation with closed eyes, blissfully unaware of the sudden predicament. In stark contrast, the expressions of the sect's high-ranking elders were grim beyond measure. The Sect Master, in a deep voice, sought to reassure them. Esteemed fellow disciples, the Tai True Ruins have been inherited for countless millennia. Perhaps it is merely a loosening of the spatial structure in certain areas. We need only await the Grand Elders to mend it. Upon hearing these words, everyone cast their gazes towards the surrounding skies. 3 venerable elders sat cross-legged in midair, jointly examining the anomaly. Each of them possessed earth-shattering power. As long as they were present, the issue of the secret realm's damaged exit would undoubtedly be resolved. The expressions of the sect's high-ranking elders eased considerably. At this juncture, the Sect Master spoke once more. While the Grand Elders are exerting their efforts, let us also consider if there exists any miraculous scheme or divine stratagem that might aid our escape from this predicament. Elder Shangguan of the Heavenly Divination Peak spoke first. I recall that not all disciples of the sect entered this secret realm. One individual remains outside. 3 years ago, the Chao Saintess entered the dragon-slaying cliff for secluded nirvana cultivation, seeking to achieve a breakthrough to the Purple Mansion realm. She once left a message stating that when the Tai True Ruins opened this time, there was no need to summon her. Thus, within the sect, she is indeed the only one remaining. Upon hearing this, Elder Liu of the Heavenly Craft Peak nodded with an expression of joy. The Tai True Ruins possesses a secret backup activation decree, capable of opening a passage from the outside. Once the Saintess emerges from her seclusion and discovers the sect utterly deserted, with her keen intellect, she will undoubtedly deduce that we are ensnared within this place. Upon hearing these words, all the elders revealed expressions of profound relief and joy. However, the Peak Master of the Heavenly Divination Peak displayed an expression of deep distress. However, each time the saintess entered secluded cultivation, it rarely lasted less than 5 years, often extending to 10. This time, it was crucial for her to achieve a breakthrough into the Violet Palace realm, making it likely she would not emerge even after 2 years. Upon hearing this, the smiles on the faces of the high-ranking elders froze. The Sect Master pondered for a moment, then sighed, "Forget it. Let us first observe the situation below. Who knows, perhaps the saintess has already emerged from seclusion." He then joined 2 fingers, casting a spell to render the spatial barrier transparent, allowing an astonished elder to point towards a certain spot. "Look, why is there someone standing on that outer peak platform?" Hearing this, everyone looked in the direction he indicated, and indeed, they discovered a figure standing atop a mountain peak. He wore the robes of an outer disciple candidate, his hands clasped behind his back as he entered a mission hall on the outer peak. He then placed his disciple token on the unguarded mountain-suppressing stone tablet, and began frantically pouring contribution points into it. Witnessing this scene, the elder managing the mission hall roared in fury. "This brat dares brazenly steal contribution points, taking advantage of the sect's emptiness. Has he no shame?" The Sect Master coldly snorted, waving his sleeve. "This youth's character and morality are utterly despicable. He is completely unworthy of entering my Tai True sect." But I was completely oblivious to this. Watching the contribution points on my token continuously rise, my heart swelled with immense satisfaction. After all, the entire sect had fled. Now only I remained. Everything was mine for the taking. Taking a little would do no harm, and even if the elders found out, they couldn't possibly blame me. Meanwhile, high above, within the Tai True ruins, the elder of the mission hall was loudly cursing, shameless, with a thicker face than a city wall. "He's already taken 100,000 points and still won't stop. This brat is truly a scoundrel." The Tai Sect Master then summoned the outer peak deacon, Yanzhen. "Yanzhen, do you know this person?" Yanzhen looked at the figure below, pondered for a moment, then suddenly realized. Reporting, Sect Master Elder, this person's name is Shi Qi. Half a year ago, he journeyed through the Kangmong Linhai to reach our sect. Seeing his unwavering determination to cultivate the Tao, I admitted him into the sect according to its regulations. The Sect Master waved his hand dismissively. "Unwavering determination to cultivate the Tao? What nonsense! Did you not consider his character and conduct?" He saw that there was no one in the sect, and then brazenly helped himself to the sect's possessions. "Within this secret realm, I cannot punish you now. Wait until we are outside, then go to the law enforcement hall and receive 300 lashings yourself." Hearing this, Yanzhen hastily cupped his fists and withdrew. The peak master of the cultivation transmission peak watched me below, shaking his head repeatedly. Meanwhile, having just acquired 1,000,000 contribution points in one go, I happily shook my token, thinking this should be enough for a while. I then proceeded directly to the port, using my token to activate the nearby flying ship dock. In just half an hour, I had reached the cultivation transmission peak. The peak master of the cultivation transmission peak immediately recognized my intentions upon seeing me. I was headed for the scripture pavilion. He raised an eyebrow, muttering, "This brat isn't foolish, but he overestimates himself within my sect's scripture pavilion. Only the first floor can be accessed using contribution points. The remaining floors all require one's own innate talent. The finest cultivation techniques and divine abilities are all stored on the higher floors." I recall how back then Saintess Qiao, relying on her myriad river primordial Tao body, ascended directly to the 8th floor to select a cultivation technique, proving no less capable than Saint Sun Li Jinyun. This brat's innate talent is meager. I fear he will struggle even to cultivate the techniques on the first floor. Although the elder's words were blunt, they were undeniably true. Within the Tai True Sect's scripture pavilion lay countless formations, rules, and cultivation techniques. One had to rely on the results of their own talent assessment to ascend to higher floors and obtain cultivation techniques. The rules set by the founding patriarch could precisely match a cultivator's aptitude. For 9 million years, no one had managed to ascend to the 9th floor. Just as the elders were marveling, I descended upon the scripture pavilion. As I pressed my token against the stone tablet before the entrance, 10,000 contribution points were immediately deducted. At this moment, the system's voice echoed in my ear. "Host has reached the scripture pavilion. The guidance mission is complete. Rewards are being distributed. A new beginner's guidance mission is now issued. Cultivate any cultivation technique to advance into the body tempering realm. Upon completing this mission, you will receive a minor attainment martial skill scroll. After using this scroll, a martial skill you cultivate can reach minor attainment in a single day." Hearing this, I was stunned. Rewards are already being distributed? Why do I feel nothing? Is this truly a 10,000-fold increase in my talent? System, are you not trying to deceive me? As the system offered no reply, I had no choice but to test it myself. I then casually picked up a cultivation technique, only to discover that I understood its entire contents with but a single glance. Even the core principles of the technique, which were previously unfathomable, instantly became clear. Having confirmed the situation, my heart swelled with boundless joy. The selection of a cultivation technique in the body tempering realm was of paramount importance. This realm was where one laid the very foundations of their cultivation journey. Now that my talent had increased 10,000-fold, I was certain I must cultivate only the very best technique. Techniques on the first floor no longer held any significance for me. At this moment, only one thought consumed my mind: to ascend to higher floors. Meanwhile, within the Tai Zhenju, many elders were commenting, that boy has already entered the Kongjing Pavilion. How many floors do you think he can reach? The peak master of the transmission peak let out a cold snort. In my view, unless he is a cultivator of the middle tier or above, he will only be capable of reaching the negative first floor. Hearing this, everyone present was amused. Just as they were chatting and laughing, they saw the figure on the first floor move. This immediately captured everyone's attention. What is he planning to do? Could he actually intend to ascend to the second floor of the Kongjing Pavilion? This thief not only stole the sect's contribution points, but now he even desires high-grade cultivation techniques. What unbridled greed. With his aptitude, even if he were to touch the stairs leading to the second floor, he would never be able to cross it in his entire life. Indeed, that boy will certainly not be able to ascend. Yet, before their words had fully faded, the figure within the pavilion ascended to the second floor without the slightest impediment. Those who had just declared I was only fit for the negative first floor felt a hint of shame at this sight. Thus, they very discreetly fell silent. However, I remained oblivious to the dramatic spectacle unfolding above me. I reached the second floor, flipped through a few cultivation techniques, and found them all to be quite ordinary. The best among them was merely of the profound grade. It seemed I still needed to continue upwards. With this thought, I once again ascended, my silhouette moving with purpose. Above, everyone frowned, but while they were still in doubt, I had already stepped onto the third floor. Witnessing this, everyone's interest was piqued and their previous prejudices largely dissolved. The Sect Master mused, it is often said that man's nature is good at birth. If this young man truly possesses such innate talent, his capital offense may be commuted. After a proper punishment, a careful guidance would suffice. But as he pondered, he noticed my continuous ascent, effortlessly reaching the sixth floor without any hindrance. This scene utterly astonished everyone. One must understand that many elders, even in their youth, only managed to reach the sixth floor. The Peak Master of the Heavenly Secret Peak looked at the Peak Master of the Transmission Peak, Shu, and asked, Junior Brother Shu, could it be that the laws within your Kongjing Pavilion are damaged? The Peak Master of the Transmission Peak immediately shook his head. Impossible. The Kongjing Pavilion was personally constructed by the Patriarch Tai Taoist Venerable. It is not like the Tai Zhenshu of today, which has been disturbed. There is absolutely no chance of its laws being damaged. Hearing this, the Peak Master of the Heavenly Secret Peak raised an eyebrow and countered, then how do you explain Shi Qi being able to reach the sixth floor? Upon this question, the Peak Master of the Transmission Peak was at a loss for words. After all, for someone like me, who had cultivated for half a year without even touching the threshold of the body-tempering realm, to be able to ascend to the sixth floor of the Kongjing Pavilion, this utterly bewildered everyone. They all believed that if I possessed such aptitude, it would be impossible to conceal it. With a little effort, I could easily master basic cultivation techniques. And if I had a special physique, I might even automatically enter the Tao. The current situation truly defied common sense, yet the Sect Master was not considering such things. Witnessing this scene, he instead developed an intention to cherish talent. With such innate talent, with careful guidance, his future will undoubtedly be immeasurable. Becoming a true disciple is practically a certainty. As for the previous matter of him taking contribution points without authorization, he is merely a low-ranking mortal. It is normal for him not to know of our sect's existence. In the eyes of a mortal, when sect members suddenly disappear, all sorts of items become ownerless. Taking a few to use is not entirely blameworthy. At this moment, the Peak Master of Transmission Peak Shu Mo stepped forward. I have observed Shi Qi to possess a resolute character and the demeanor of a true gentleman. Even when facing the entire sect's scrutiny, he maintained his composure. This is an auspicious sign. As the saying goes, he who holds thunder in his heart but shows a placid lake upon his face is destined to become a general. Such a rare gem, if carefully polished, will undoubtedly become a pillar supporting our sect for generations to come. I know my fellow senior and junior brothers are typically burdened with many duties. Therefore, after this matter concludes, I, Shu Mo, humbly volunteer to take Shi Qi as my personal disciple, bearing the responsibility of nurturing him myself for the sake of the sect. Upon hearing these words, all the true disciples revealed expressions of envy. After all, the Tai True sect boasted a vast number of disciples. Outer sect disciples barely had the privilege of meeting a Peak Master, and only inner sect and true disciples could attend their lectures once a month. A select few Peak True disciples might occasionally receive personal guidance from a Peak Master, but this paled in comparison to becoming a Peak Master's direct true disciple. Yet unlike the envious gazes of the true disciples, the elders from other peaks exchanged knowing glances. This old fellow sure changes his tune quickly, thought the Peak Master of Heavenly Craft Peak, Lu Dao. He turned to look at Shu Mo. Junior Brother Shu, your judgment of character is truly sharp. Though this senior brother may lack great talent, I too have observed that this young man, regardless of his conduct or innate potential, is of the highest caliber. With careful cultivation, he will undoubtedly become a true disciple. However, Junior Brother Shu, there is one point I must vehemently refute you on. Tell me, in these past years, how much blood and sweat have you poured out for the sect? How much hardship have you endured? Not only do you impart cultivation techniques to countless disciples daily, but you also occasionally provide personal guidance to the true disciples. Your heart is too kind. We, your fellow brothers, though we may not speak of it often, have all witnessed your immense contributions. Now with us still here, you wish to shoulder all responsibilities, take on a personal disciple, and pile even more work upon yourself. Is this not a blatant slap in the face to us? Therefore, regarding the matter of taking Shi Qi as your disciple today, this senior brother absolutely cannot agree. Junior brother Shu, you merely need to observe from the sidelines. Leave the task of nurturing this young man to your senior brother. Lu Dao had spoken at length. In the first half, Shumo felt profoundly moved, but by the latter half, he realized Lu Dao intended to contend for the disciple. However, Shumo would not easily yield such a prize to another. Immediately after, he feigned a few tears. Senior brother Lu, you have cared for me since my youth. Over these past millennia, I have received countless favors from you. Today it is time for me to repay you. It is not that your junior brother is being stubborn, but rather that your heavenly craft peak is far too specialized. Artifact refining and crafting. Which of these does not require extraordinary talent? Shi Qi's cultivation potential is merely decent. But when it comes to artifact refining and crafting, it is uncertain if he would excel. If he proves to be an imbecile in those arts, wouldn't it trouble senior brother to spend even more time guiding him? Your heavenly craft peak is already bustling with activity. Now with the added task of teaching Shi Qi, do you wish to see your senior brother exhausted to death? Therefore, regarding the matter of taking Shi Qi as a disciple, as your junior brother, I simply cannot back down. Lu Dao discerned the true meaning behind Shumo's words and instantly seethed with rage. Shumo, you abandon all sense of shame merely to contend with me for a disciple. As he was about to rephrase his arguments and continue the debate, a female voice suddenly interjected from the side. My two junior brothers, this is but a minor matter. Why must you argue so fiercely? Let us not ruin the harmony. Everyone looked towards the voice, only to see a beautiful lady in purple Taoist robes approaching. It was none other than Yu Xiao, the Peak Master of Hidden Sword Peak, an expert in punitive expeditions. Lu Dao and Shumo respectfully cupped their hands towards her. Greetings, senior sister Yu. Witnessing this, the Tai Sect Master secretly mused, Senior sister Yu truly understands the situation. At this crucial moment, she stopped these two old men. Otherwise, what kind of decorum would be left before so many disciples? Just as he was secretly rejoicing, he heard Yu Xiao say with a smile to the two, why don't we let this Shi Qi come to my Hidden Sword Peak instead? Recently, I too have been looking to take on a true disciple, and I was worried I had no suitable candidate to choose from. The moment these words left her lips, the Sect Master's eyelids twitched. The two elders stood stunned. Seeing senior sister Yu also enter the contention, the other elders too felt their hearts stirred. The other true disciples began to whisper amongst themselves. Elder Yu also wants to take Shi Qi as a disciple? Heavens, 3 elders have openly stepped forward to contend for him, and the others are also eager to join. Is this Shi Qi truly so exceptional? What envy fills my heart? The Hidden Sword Peak possesses the sect's foremost cultivation techniques. Who in the central continent does not know the reputation of Taiyi's Hidden Sword Peak? Clearly I possess the talent to reach the 6th floor of the Scripture Pavilion, so why won't Elder Yu accept me as a true disciple? This matter isn't solely about appearance, it's also about opportunity. One can only say that Shi Qi is simply too fortunate. Indeed, with everyone trapped within the secret realm's confines today, they are reluctantly forced to focus all their attention on him. At such a moment, even the smallest action would be infinitely magnified, naturally drawing the gaze of the various elders. Among the elders, only Shu Wei and Lu Dao remained in silent contemplation, exchanging knowing glances. Yet, after winking for what felt like an eternity, none dared to contend with the senior sister. Just as these two hesitated, other elders also pondered whether to join the fray. Suddenly, an inner sect deacon arrived with a report. The other disciples trapped within the secret realm, unable to depart, had begun to cause a disturbance. The Sect Master deliberated for a moment, then decided to truthfully explain the situation to everyone. He even made the secret realm's barrier transparent, allowing all disciples to witness the commotion outside, hoping to divert their attention. Under the concentrated gaze of thousands upon thousands, the figure standing on the 6th floor, engrossed in those secret manuals, finally stirred. He simply shook his head, seemingly displeased with the cultivation techniques on this floor. Then he looked up at the staircase leading to the 7th floor and began to ascend. Witnessing this, everyone within the Tai sect immediately erupted into fervent discussion. For the 6th and 7th floors of the Scripture Pavilion represented a significant divide, with vastly different requirements for one's innate talent. Among the assembled Peak Masters and Elders, most possessed the talent to ascend to the 6th floor of the Scripture Pavilion. However, those capable of entering the 7th floor included only the Sect Master and the Peak Master of the Sword Treasury Peak, Yu Xiao. Furthermore, everyone knew him to be a mortal physique without any special constitution. And in the sect's history, there was no record of a mortal physique ever reaching the 7th floor. At this moment, the Peak Master of Heavenly Divination Peak, Shangguan Kun, remarked, "This is Shi Ji's first time entering the Scripture Pavilion. He must be trying to test his limits. Surely he will soon realize the difficulty and retreat." Hearing this, the others all nodded in agreement. Not long after, Shangguan Kun's expression was indeed as expected. Shi Ji has already reached the middle of the staircase. If I'm not mistaken, he is currently struggling immensely to resist the pressure. Even taking another step forward must be a formidable challenge. The others chimed in, echoing his sentiments. Junior brother speaks wisely. Meanwhile, as I walked up the scripture pavilion's staircase, I was so exhausted that I cursed silently to myself. Who designed this staircase? From the 6th to the 7th floor, I have to climb 80 steps. I used to wonder how a 200-meter tall building only had 9 floors. Turns out they just packed so many stairs in between. The builder must have had a screw loose. However, when the Tai Dao Venerable constructed this tower, it was originally designed to the standards of body-tempering realm cultivators. He certainly never expected a mere mortal to ascend to such a height. After resting for a moment, I continued my ascent. At this point, only 20 steps remained until the 7th floor. But little did I know that my actions had once again rendered the elders above utterly speechless. The peak master of heavenly divination Peak's face reddened, and he coughed a few times. It seems this Shi Qi is more tenacious than we imagined, but reaching the 7th floor remains an impossibility. From ancient times until now, there has been no such precedent within our sect. According to my deductions, Shi Qi's bodily pressure has already reached its absolute limit. Look, he's panting heavily. I fear not only his bones and sinews are burdened, but even his 5 vital organs and 6 internal organs are enduring excruciating pain. Henceforth, he surely won't be able to take another single step. Hearing his definitive declaration once more, the other elders once again vied to agree. Senior brother Shangguan's insight is as sharp as a torch. Indeed, from my observation, this individual has truly reached his limit. Though Shi Qi may not ascend to the 7th floor with his mortal physique and innate talent, he is still considered a top prodigy within our sect. Just as the elders engaged in their lofty discourse, a true disciple suddenly exclaimed, "Shi Qi, he's moving." Hearing this, they hastily lowered their gazes, only to see me moving with astounding speed. My figure directly rushed to the top of the staircase, placing my foot onto the 7th floor of the scripture pavilion. In that instant, everyone fell silent. After a long moment, no one could maintain their composure. Yu Xiao grew even more resolute in his determination to accept me as his disciple. As for the Tai Sect Master, his face was filled with utter excitement. Even a mortal physique can reach the 7th floor. This action has set an unprecedented precedent, bestowing upon our sect a peerless prodigy, one who could be ranked among the top 10 true disciples. Esteemed junior brothers, there is no need to contend further. Once we depart from this place, Shi Qi shall formally become my personal disciple, to be personally guided by me. Upon hearing the Sect Master's words, all the elders were astonished. Why would the Sect Master, their senior brother, humble himself to claim this disciple? The Tai True Sect harbored an unspoken rule. Outside of the Saint Son and Saintess, the Sect Master was forbidden from taking on any other disciples. This was First, the Sect Master's duties were arduous, leaving no time for proper guidance. Second, there was fear that a Sect Master's non-saint disciples might develop rebellious intentions, threatening the very legacy of the sect. Yet now, the Tai Sect Master desired to break this sacred rule, to take Shi Qi as his personal disciple. Many elders, though astonished, understood in their hearts. After all, Shi Qi had shattered the very limits of a heaven-grade mortal physique. His future truly was boundless. Upon hearing this, Yu Xiao angrily glared at the Tai Sect Master. The Tai Sect Master, met with such an intense glare, felt his face drain of color. He knew his identity as Sect Master was exceedingly sensitive, and his actions had indeed crossed a profound boundary. In principle, he dared not even meet Yu Xiao's gaze. Finally, it was Shangguan who spoke up in dissuasion. Sect Master's senior brother, please reconsider. The precedent of a Sect Master taking a disciple has never occurred in our sect. If such a precedent were to be set, what would the Saint Son and Saintess think? No sooner had these words left his lips than other elders voiced their agreement. Just as everyone vied to dissuade him, Tai Sect Master Peng Tianyang decisively declared, "There is no need for such excessive worry. After I take Shi Qi as my disciple, I shall relinquish the authority of the Sect Master to Senior Sister Yu." As soon as these words were uttered, silence descended upon all present. Yu Xiao, however, regarded him with a look of utter derision. "Sect Master Peng, do you truly intend to kill 2 birds with 1 stone? Upon hearing this, everyone present felt a surge of confusion, but the Tai Sect Master's heart immediately sank. He had never anticipated that his true intentions would be seen through by Yu Xiao. He recalled how, many years ago, the two of them, both Saint Son and Saintess, were preparing to contend for the position of Sect Master. Yet Yu Xiao had voluntarily relinquished the Sect Master position, which he then inherited. Peng Tianyang had served as Sect Master for 1300 years, and the sliss duties had caused his cultivation to stagnate. He had long grown weary of this Sect Master's position, and this occasion was merely a convenient pretext. Alas, such a small scheme could never escape Yu Xiao's discerning eyes. "You the Grand Senior Sister?" The other elders listened, utterly bewildered, but this scene, seen through the eyes of the other disciples transformed into the Sect Master for the sake of claiming Shi Qi, was willing to abandon his very position. News of this reached the outer sect, where it was further exaggerated into incredible rumors. The outer sect steward began to openly intervene, yet even he harbored doubts. Why would the Sect Master willingly propose to abdicate his position? Could it truly be all for Shi Qi? Pondering this, everyone looked downwards, once again turning their gaze towards the 7th floor of the scripture pavilion. There the protagonist stood, hands clasped behind his back, examining the jade slips before him. The cultivation techniques on the 7th floor of the scripture pavilion were all earth tier mid-grade and above, presented in the form of jade slips rather than traditional books. Disciples were typically required to follow a rule. Only one technique could be chosen to learn at a time. Beside each jade slip, a thin yellow paper offered a brief introduction. However, as there was no one guarding this section of the sect, the protagonist was not bound by this rule. Yet the protagonist did not hold these earth-tier cultivation techniques in high regard. After all, his innate talent had been amplified 10,000-fold. The limits of his potential had become extraordinarily vast. Furthermore, he needed to cultivate to the heavenly venerate realm before the grand tribulation of heaven and earth 3 years hence merely to survive. These common earth-tier cultivation techniques were fundamentally insufficient for his needs. After perusing the jade slips before him, the protagonist could not help but sigh. He recalled that it had been half a year since he had transmigrated to this world, yet he remained a mere outer sect reserve disciple, his status pitifully low. That outer peak steward had also failed to impart knowledge about cultivation realms to him. Thus, before this, the protagonist had no understanding of what these realms signified, nor any concept of the world he now inhabited. Now, having explored the scripture pavilion, he was astonished to discover this was a high martial, high mystical world, brimming with heaven-defying combat power. Mankind, relying on their unyielding will and ceaseless exploration of the human body, had forged 5 great cultivation systems rising to dominate this world. The martial path was divided into 3 grand stages, with each stage containing difficult bottlenecks that were exceedingly hard to break through. The first stage was crucial for mortals to shed their mundane essence and transform their bones, with the body-tempering realm forming its very foundation. Cultivating to the pinnacle of the second stage allowed one to break through to the ranks of the mighty, reaching a state of profound longevity, living as long as heaven and earth. As for heavenly venerates, they were truly rare and peerless talents unmatched in this world. Once more, I recalled the knowledge I had absorbed from ancient texts, my heart profoundly shaken, finally grasping the extraordinary requirements imposed by the system. Yet the most crucial task at hand remained to select a suitable body refinement cultivation technique and step into the body-tempering realm. After all, the entire Tai True sect had already vanished. If I were to cultivate, I would only pursue the most supreme cultivation technique. With this thought, I ascended further up the floors. This time, it was as if my heart carried an even deeper yearning for a supreme cultivation technique. In one breath, I climbed to the 8th floor. The space on the 8th floor was still vast, but the number of jade slips displayed had noticeably dwindled. Immediately, I began to scrutinize them, searching for any technique worthy of cultivation. What I did not know was that my actions had already sent the entire sect within the secret realm into an uproar. Heavens, am I seeing things? Shi Qi has already reached the 8th floor. Is senior brother Shi truly human or a divine being? An ordinary mortal, yet he could directly enter the 8th floor of the scripture pavilion. If this divine ability that allows us to perceive the lower realms wasn't personally cast by the Sect Master, I would truly suspect that someone was playing a trick. No wonder the Sect Master, even considering stepping down, still wished to take Shi Qi as his disciple. Before, I thought the Sect Master was impulsive, but now it seems I was simply too short-sighted. He truly possesses the potential to contend with the Saint Son. The disciples chattered incessantly, deacons and elders wore expressions of fervent excitement, but only the Saint Son's eyes darkened. If both he and Shi Qi possess the cultivation talent to reach the 8th floor of the scripture pavilion, then the position of Saint Son might indeed need re-evaluation. But then he reconsidered. Though Shi Qi's innate talent surpassed others, he was still too young and had yet to even begin his path of cultivation. Whereas he had already reached the peak of a formidable cultivation realm, this was his undeniable advantage. Furthermore, Shi Qi possessed no seniority, no connections. How could the position of Saint Son possibly fall to him? Moreover, Shi Qi's only advantage was that so-called mortal body, while his own Grandian sacred body was immeasurably powerful. Belonging to the frigid system, its corresponding cultivation techniques were exceedingly rare. Thus, he had joined the Tai True sect, which possessed profound foundations. Finally, on the 8th floor of the scripture pavilion, he found a perfectly suitable low-grade heaven-tier cultivation technique for himself, the Earth Vein Communion Art. However, only after cultivating the technique did he discover that it was merely a derivative, a substitute version extrapolated from the high-grade heaven-tier cultivation technique, the Azure Clarity Dragon Transformation Art. The original cultivation technique, the true masterpiece, was hidden on the 9th floor of the scripture pavilion. Though he believed he was fated to miss out on that original technique, this Shi Qi had only reached the 8th floor, just like himself, and naturally, Shi Qi was 3 entire cultivation realms below him. Therefore, he fundamentally could not threaten his status. Saint Sun Li Zhengyun, having thought through these matters, once again regained his confidence. He then adopted a posture of enigmatic superiority, casting a glance at the bustling scene of the sect below. He merely saw me examining the cultivation techniques on this floor. These jade slips all emitted a silvery radiance. Involuntarily, I recalled the secret I had just learned on the lower floors. Heaven-tier cultivation techniques were not only inherently profound but also singular in their existence. Legend had it that when a cultivation technique came into being, it would carry a wisp of its creator's will, deeply hidden within the jade slip itself. After long periods of preservation, this would give rise to spirituality. Supreme cultivation techniques could even choose their own suitable masters. And the sight before my eyes was precisely the manifestation of the jade slip's spirituality radiating outwards. As I circled the room, I was drawn to the most luminous jade slip and picked it up for closer examination. The Earth Vein Communion Art was indeed not bad. Alas, I had no interest in divine cultivation methods. With a dismissive gesture, I casually tossed it aside. Unbeknownst to me, this action caused the Saint Sun's face to twitch in an enraged spasm. The very cultish technique he had always prided himself on was, in the eyes of this mere mortal, utterly worthless. No matter how well he maintained his composure, at this moment he found it difficult to breathe. He could only curse inwardly. Hick, your vision is truly shallow. You don't even deign to glance at the Earthvein communion art. Just what kind of cultivation technique can you, this Saint Sun, possibly choose in the end? Meanwhile, with my hands clasped behind my back, I began to stroll leisurely across the 8th floor. The 8th floor held no cultivation techniques that captured my fancy, but the miscellaneous records and journals piqued my interest even more. These books not only contained basic information about this world, but also extensive descriptions of its various great powers and factions. Though they wouldn't significantly aid in elevating my cultivation realm, I considered it a means to broaden my knowledge. After finishing these, I proceeded towards the next flight of stairs. The finest cultivation techniques surely reside on the highest floor. It is also the repository of the true heritage of Tai Zhenmin passed down through countless eons. Pondering this, I ascended the stairs with light steps. Yet, little did I know, this very action had startled those who observed me from above. Why does he continue to ascend? How can this be? Am I merely hallucinating? Shi Qi actually intends to reach the 9th floor? This person even takes 2 steps at a time. Grand ancestors above, I wonder if the assessment formation of the scripture depository has malfunctioned? A million years ago, our sect had a peerless heavens chosen, who, relying on his chaotic divine physique, ascended to the pinnacle of the 9th floor. Shi Qi is merely a mortal physique. Can he truly also ascend to the pinnacle? After a flurry of whispers, the entire sect fell silent, their gazes fixed upon that ascending figure. Even the 3 grand elders who were overseeing the formation could not help but extend a wisp of their divine sense downwards. Under the scrutiny of the entire sect, I effortlessly stepped onto the 9th floor. Almost at the same instant, the entirety of Taijinju erupted into a clamor. A mere mortal physique has truly ascended to the highest floor of the scripture depository, a feat rarely seen in a million years, witnessed by us today. This Shi Qi truly cannot be measured by common sense. I fear that once this matter is settled, he will ascend to greatness in a single stride, becoming a treasure in the eyes of all the elders. How truly enviable. Just as the entire sect regarded me with profound respect, the peak master of Chuanggong Peak, Shu Wuke, stepped forward with a grim expression, then cupped his hands and reported to the Sect Master. Sect Master's senior brother, a junior elder from my peak, just sent word, reporting that a section of the scripture depository's formation temporarily lost its efficacy a few days ago. After making his report, he then secretly replaced the Supreme Spirit stones sent for repairs with inferior ones. I fear that the talent assessment formation of the scripture depository truly has lost its spiritual essence. The moment these words fell, the entire scene instantly became utterly silent. All the elders gazed at Shu Wuke in astonishment. Then, an elder from Tiangong Peak could not help but retort, "Senior brother Shu, you must not speak carelessly. The assessment formation of the scripture depository was personally arranged by our sect's founding ancestor, and it even contains a sliver of his inherent Tao. How could it possibly lose its efficacy so easily?" Hearing this, Shu Wuke cupped his hands towards the heavens. I naturally dare not doubt the founding ancestor, but the years are merciless. No matter how strong one is, none can defy the relentless march of time. What in this world dares to claim eternal existence? The scripture depository was constructed tens of millions of years ago. It is difficult to guarantee that the rules of its formation remain as potent as they once were. Even a few spirit stones in a crucial position could truly cause the assessment's effectiveness to wane. Hearing the exchange between these two, the others also suddenly came to a realization. After all, Shi Qi had been in the sect for half a year and still hadn't achieved body refinement. Yet upon entering the scripture depository, he went straight to the 9th floor, breaking the limits of a mortal physique multiple times. If the scripture depository's assessment formation truly had a flaw, then everything could indeed be explained. The saint's son, upon hearing these words, immediately felt as if he had been reborn. It turned out to be merely a misunderstanding, and his Taiyan saint physique was still #1 in the current era. The sect master quickly sought out the culprit, ordering that junior elder to the Hall of Discipline to face his punishment. Just as everyone felt awkward due to this misunderstanding, Yu Xiao suddenly smiled, looking at the sect master. "Sect master junior brother, it seems you no longer intend to take Shi Qi as a disciple. If you have regrets, then the matter of taking Shi Qi as a disciple shall fall to me." The moment these words fell, everyone was stunned. A moment later, the Tai Sect Master finally awoke to the realization. Shi Qi's talent does not seem to be fake. Hearing this, Shu Wuke hastily inquired, "Sect Master, are you certain that the assessment formation has no flaws?" The Sect Master let out a sigh. "I cannot be entirely certain, but today's events truly show we have been too hasty. To observe a person's talent, one fundamentally does not need to rely on the scripture depository's assessment formation. The jade slips on the 7th and 8th floors are the finest proof." The moment these words fell, it was as if a thunderclap had struck their ears. The others immediately recalled the scene when I had stepped onto the 8th floor, where all the jade slips had glowed. This was the heavenly tier cultivation technique's acknowledgement of me. Comprehending this point, the elders once again changed their tune. "Heaven helps our sect." Thankfully, it was not a misunderstanding after all. I had long seen that Shi Qi possessed the demeanor of a peerless heaven's chosen. Fundamentally, Shi Qi is undeniably the supreme Qilin son of our Tai Zhenmin. Witnessing this spectacle, the observing true disciples' mouths twitched, their hearts feeling as if 10,000 horses galloped through them. One moment they say it's fake, the next they claim it's real. Are you jesting? Can you provide a definitive answer? The one known as Qilin Zi, having just ascended to the 9th floor, calmly began to survey his surroundings. The 9th floor of the scripture pavilion held no bookshelves or mundane texts. Instead, dozens of jade slips floated serenely in midair. As he took his first step, the jade slips simultaneously sank, then burst forth with brilliant light, vying to circle around him. This spectacle left the observing elders stunned into silence. It seemed the saying that cultivation techniques choose their own masters was no mere fabrication. The Saint Sun's gaze instantly fell upon the Qingming dragon transformation art, which, like a persistent shadow, circled behind Qilin Zi. Yet, he paid no mind to this sight, causing the Saint Sun to grit his teeth in furious indignation. The Tai Sect Master could not help but sigh in his heart. So this was the mortal physique with limitless potential, its future truly unfathomable. In that instant, the Sect Master seemed to envision a peerless prodigy about to emerge. Immediately thereafter, various cultivation plans, each leading in a different direction, began to form within his mind. Pondering this, the Sect Master immediately stepped forward, cupping his hands towards the depths of the Tai Zhenshu. He respectfully reported to the 3 Grand Elders, this Shi Qi possesses astonishing talent. I wish to place him on the sect's special reserved list, a status even higher than that of a Saint Son or Saintess, and once he leaves this place, we shall dedicate all our resources to his cultivation. No sooner had these words left his lips than the entire gathering was shaken. The elders sighed, realizing the Sect Master had indeed chosen this path. The sect's special reserved list was a cultivation system from the era of ancient strife, gathering disciples of immense potential onto this list, pitting them against each other. The ultimate victor would become the foremost disciple on the special reserved list, holding a status above all other disciples and enjoying the full resources of the entire sect. During times of peace, it was deemed too extreme and was replaced by the milder dual saint system. Now, the Sect Master's decision to reinstate the special reserve list clearly indicated he viewed Shi Qi as the sect's successor. Upon hearing this, the Saint Sun's tension visibly mounted, but the 3 Grand Elders did not immediately respond, seemingly engaged in a silent deliberation. Everyone awaited the outcome with bated breath. But at this very moment, a sudden commotion erupted from the exterior area. The elders swept their divine senses outwards, discovering that Shi Qi was once again creating a stir. He was currently preparing to choose a cultivation technique. Suddenly, the system's voice resonated. Congratulations, host, for reaching the pinnacle of the sect's scripture pavilion, breaking the limits of your mortal physique, and activating an additional guiding mission reward, a one-time use fusion scroll. Upon hearing this, he was momentarily startled, but after a simple inquiry, he understood the function of this fusion scroll. This item could help him fuse multiple cultivation techniques into one, but the success rate of this fusion would gradually decrease with the increasing grade of the technique. However, for every heaven-grade cultivation technique in this world, only one copy existed. To attempt such a fusion, the original jade slip would need to be destroyed. Should it fail, the cultivation technique's records would vanish completely. Furthermore, cultivating to perfection was no simple feat. Thus, fusing heaven-grade cultivation techniques was considered a great sin, severing the inheritance of the martial Tao. Pondering this, he felt a surge of hesitation. At this moment, the system immediately responded, "Host, please have faith in this system's capabilities. Everything is to assist you in surviving the Great Tribulation that will descend in 1,024 days. Time is too short. Merely cultivating a peak heaven-grade technique, even with 10,000 times the talent, would make reaching the heavenly venerate realm in such a brief period an almost impossible feat. You must forge a cultivation technique more powerful than even a peak heaven-grade one to stand a chance of saving yourself." Hearing these words, his heart pounded wildly. If the system had already cleared the path for him, then what reason was there not to proceed? He then followed the fusion process he had learned on the 2nd floor of the scripture pavilion, officially commencing the procedure. The very next second, all the heaven-grade jade slips on this floor surged towards the white swirling vortex before him. As the system's notification rang in his ear, successfully used one-time use fusion scroll. Unbeknownst to him at this very moment in the Tai Zhenshu, the faces of all the elders were contorted with fury as they gazed at him. The Sect Master, filled with murderous intent, declared, "Shi Qi has severed the Tai's inheritance. His crime reaches the heavens. He deserves to be utterly condemned." After this, Elder Yu from the law enforcement peak also stepped forward. "Sect Master, I suspect this Shi Qi might very well be a spy dispatched by another power. Otherwise, why would he commit such an act, severing our sect's inheritance?" At this, the elder from 100 Herbs Peak coldly chimed in. "Spy or fool, it matters not. The deed of severing our sect's inheritance has been done. If we do not tear him limb from limb, how can we appease the hearts of the disciples?" Hearing this, Yu Xiao sighed softly, a trace of regret in his heart. To fuse 37 heaven-grade cultivation techniques into one, the success rate for such a feat was practically zero. It seemed this peerless genius with a mortal physique had no chance to turn his fate around. The inner and outer disciples were also angrily condemning him, asking, how dare he fuse all top-grade heaven-tier cultivation techniques from the scripture pavilion? Though the Tai True sect was not merely a sacred temple, it was a unified entity. He had joined the sect to learn its techniques and cultivate. Even if he felt no deep gratitude, he should not kick it while it was down. Just now I still thought this Shi Qi was someone who deeply revered him. Now, I feel as though I was blind. Shi Qi was an eternal sinner of the cultivation world. As the Saint Son listened to the curses and accusations echoing in his ears, his expression showed a trace of panic. What is this situation? One moment, Shi Qi was the successor personally designated by the Sect Master with a boundless future. The next, he had become a rat scurrying through the streets. Yet, without doing anything himself, the Saint Son had reversed the tide from a position of certain defeat. Thinking of this, the Saint Son curled his lips into a smile, but just as he was about to regain his composure, he suddenly recalled that previous times had also seen the situation reverse. Could this not be another feint? Thus, he became cautious, deciding to observe a little longer. He glanced at the situation within the sect below, only to see Shi Qi, hands clasped in emptiness, still performing the fusion technique. 37 cultivation technique jade slips had almost been completely refined. The Saint Son secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Immediately afterwards, he looked towards, only to see at this moment, a giant, indistinct spiritual energy face appeared in the sky, its powerful aura enveloping the entire expanse of heaven and earth. The Sect Master's figure became incredibly minuscule in comparison. The next second, the gigantic face emitted a sound, uttering only a single word, "Kill!" It seemed the Grand Elder was truly enraged. Shi Qi would surely die. However, just as he was secretly celebrating, a brilliant golden lotus of spiritual energy suddenly erupted from the scripture pavilion. Subsequently, innumerable rays of light pierced through the mists and shone down. Auspicious clouds, layer upon layer, blossomed around the 9th level of the scripture pavilion. Witnessing this scene, everyone in the Tai True sect from top to bottom was stunned. The Sect Master stared in bewilderment at the figure below. A mere mortal had actually succeeded in fusing 37 top-grade heaven-tier cultivation techniques. Just as he stood dumbfounded, a calm and steady voice suddenly resounded. When a divine technique emerges, it truly gives rise to a miracle. Just like someone refining a 9th-grade St. Pill or forging a world-shattering divine weapon, all will be favored by the heavenly Tao, bestowing myriad auspicious Qi in celebration. The Sect Master looked up, only to see the gigantic face in the sky transform into a stream of light instantly descending before him, revealing a white-haired figure. This person was none other than Grand Elder Nanzhong. The Sect Master hastily cupped his hands in greeting to Grand Elder Nanzhong. Nanzhong casually waved his hand. "Sect Master, there is no need for such formality." His gaze then fell downwards. This person is truly extraordinary. He clearly possesses no cultivation base and has never cultivated any of these 37 top-grade heaven-tier cultivation techniques. Yet he understands all of them like the back of his hand. He hasn't even fully completed the fusion, yet he has already attracted strange phenomena from heaven and earth in celebration. Could there truly be such a peerless prodigy in this world? Hearing these words, the Sect Master's heart stirred, and he quietly asked, "Is this person a reincarnated grand existence, or has an old monster seized his body?" Nanzhong pondered for a moment, then shook his head. "No. That person's Tao still exists, completely undissipated. If their Tao was intact, why would they resort to such means? If the Tao had dissipated and the soul and spirit utterly extinguished, then there would be no opportunity for reincarnation or body seizure either. This person is certainly peculiar, but there is no need to be surprised." Hearing the two converse, the numerous elders and disciples all held their breath in astonishment. This Shi Qi was truly formidable. He had committed a capital crime, yet he had actually succeeded in performing the fusion technique. Even the Grand Elder had personally descended to investigate, and confirmed his identity was neither an old monster seizing a body nor a reincarnated powerhouse. Instead, he had relied on his own innate martial Tao talent to successfully fuse them. Such a wondrous feat was truly unimaginable. At this very moment, Elder Yao of the Law Enforcement Peak suddenly spoke up, asking, "Dare I ask, Grand Elder, should Shi Qi be executed?" Hearing this, the Sect Master frowned and rebuked, "Elder Yao, do not speak such nonsense. Shi Qi is the peerless heavenly chosen of our Tai True sect, the hope of our future." When did the Grand Elder ever declare that he must be killed? Hearing these words, Elder Yao's body instantly stiffened. He opened his mouth about to speak, but was frantically pulled back by the Shangguan elder beside him. He could only retreat a few steps, somewhat awkwardly, then cautiously gazed towards the Grand Elder. He saw Nanzhong, his expression as serene as ever, not even sparing a glance for the other elders, but solely focused on the activity within the scripture pavilion. As he watched all the cultivation techniques complete their fusion, a brand new jade slip, representing a new technique, materialized within the spiritual mist before Shi Qi's chest. A flicker of solemnity crossed his face, before his voice echoed throughout the entire Tai True sect. Outer sect reserve disciple Shi Qi, a virtuous character and unparalleled talent, has become the first disciple in 1,000,000 years of our sect to successfully ascend to the 9th floor of the scripture pavilion. Therefore, he is hereby specially bestowed with the status of successor, holding a position above even the twin saints, and shall stand at the pinnacle of all inner, outer, and true disciples. This decree shall take immediate effect upon his departure from the secret realm. As his words fell, all the inner and outer sect disciples were utterly stunned. After a brief, stunned silence, the Tai True sect erupted into earth-shattering cheers. "I truly deserve death. Just now, I dare to doubt senior brother Shi, doubting his fusion of 37 high-grade heaven-tier cultivation techniques? Tell me, who throughout history has ever accomplished such a miracle?" Senior brother Shi truly knows how to play his hand, nearly scaring us to death. He used all the cultivation techniques from the pinnacle of the scripture pavilion, fusing them in one go to achieve a breakthrough. This particular deed, while not a loss, holds immense significance. For the first cultivation technique in the world to surpass the heaven tier high grade has been born right here, within our Tai True sect. Over 10,000 disciples exchanged astonished glances, and the system's reputation exploded once more. At this moment, I joyfully observed the jade slip hovering before me. The fusion technique had succeeded. This instantaneous fusion scroll was truly formidable. While performing the art just now, it felt as if I had truly learned all 37 of those cultivation techniques. Propelled by the system, this supreme heaven-tier cultivation technique had successfully come into existence. It gathered the essence of 37 vast and all-encompassing high-grade heaven-tier cultivation techniques, yet it was only suitable for a mortal body with extremely high talent. Thus, only I could cultivate it. Witnessing all the strange phenomena and wondrous sights dissipate, I stepped forward and grasped the jade slip. Then, I let out a soft sigh. Indeed, plans often can't keep up with changes. I had originally intended to find a cultivation technique suitable for the body tempering stage to practice first, never expecting to activate the reward for ascending the floor. This new system cultivation technique I fused, I hadn't thought much of it. This type of system cultivation technique, capable of transcending multiple realms, because I felt that the increase in strength it provided was quite ordinary. Therefore, my original plan was to switch to a single realm cultivation technique every time I reached a new realm. However, this supreme heaven-tier divine technique I fused, although a system technique, can encompass all realms. Moreover, it is built upon the foundation of 37 high-grade heaven-tier cultivation techniques. The cultivation efficiency at every realm can be pushed to its absolute limit, no less effective than single realm techniques. Taking the body tempering realm as an example, this new technique has absorbed the essence of the great sun melting furnace body. That technique is a divine art specifically for tempering the physical body. If my guess is not wrong, my single-hand strength in the body tempering stage could very well surpass 10,000 caddies. Once I step into the 10th layer of the body tempering realm, my physical body will undoubtedly reach an extraordinarily terrifying level. As I thought this, I excitedly prepared to receive the technique's information, only to find the jade slip, guided by my movements, emitted spiritual radiance that connected directly with my sea of consciousness. After receiving the first piece of information transmitted by the jade slip, I couldn't help but be slightly stunned. It instructed me to give it a name. I stroked my chin, contemplating for a moment. It was, after all, a fusion of many different cultivation techniques. It gathered the essence of 100 schools, converging all the advantages of supreme divine techniques. There's a saying, Wuji gives birth to Taiji. Perhaps I shall call it the Wuji Dao Zhang. As my words fell, strange signs from heaven and earth descended once more. Immediately after, the jade slip shone brilliantly, automatically displaying the 4 characters, Wuji Dao Zhang. Seeing this, I nodded with satisfaction, then took the jade slip and touched it to my forehead. Guided by the inherent spirit within the jade slip, the entire contents of the Wuji Dao Zhang flowed into my sea of consciousness. A few breaths later, I had finished receiving all the information. Then I suddenly opened my eyes, exclaiming in astonishment, this cultivation technique is truly too heaven-defying, for it possesses 3 unique traits. First, it has no elemental bias, perfectly resolving the conflict of different elemental forces within the body. Second, it has no cultivation bottlenecks. The cultivation technique operates automatically, ceaselessly cultivating at all times and in all places, and can even optimize its circulation routes on its own. Third, it has no inherent flaws in its divine abilities. One can freely combine divine ability characteristics. Attack, defense, and movement techniques can all transcend their bottlenecks. Beyond these 3 traits, it has also developed 3 exclusive divine abilities, Wanfa Guilu, Daxiang Zhenxing, and Daoyan Zhenji. As the introduction to the Wuji Dao Zhang's cultivation technique flooded my mind, a fervent passion surged within my eyes. Yet I soon shook my head. Alas, these 3 divine abilities were currently beyond my reach, only possible to cultivate after transcending the Nirvana bone. The most crucial task now was to enter the body-forging realm. With this thought, I immediately sat down and began my cultivation. With every breath, I felt the spiritual energy within my body circulate through my meridians and all my muscles tensed. My tendons and bones occasionally creaked. As I devoted myself to cultivation, the elders of the Tai True sect had already regained their composure. Grand Elder Nanzhong also vanished from the sky, returning to continue inspecting the exit of the secret realm. At this moment, Peak Master Shi Wei of the Transmission Peak spoke up to comment. The name of this cultivation technique, Shi Qi, is quite well chosen. It truly possesses the style of a peerless divine technique, very tasteful indeed. Everyone, however, was already accustomed to his constantly shifting demeanor. Elder Liu of the Heavenly Craft Peak nodded in agreement. Shi Qi possesses peerless innate talent, and now cultivating this divine technique of the Wuji Dao Zhang, one wonders if he can shorten the time to enter the body-forging realm to just 3 days. Upon hearing these words, the elders eagerly joined the discussion. 3 days to forge the body? Such an achievement would be considered top-tier even within the entire cultivation world. Not only that, since ancient times, fewer than 100 individuals have entered the body-forging realm within 10 days. Fewer than 10 have done so within 5 days. And within 3 days, there has been only one. Are you not speaking of that peerless genius from the eastern Great Barren Lands who emerged 2 million years ago? Regrettably, that individual was fated to struggle. Though their cultivation reached the pinnacle of the god realm, they ultimately failed when breaking through to the true origin bone, perishing under the Grandao heavenly tribulation. A true pity, indeed. At this moment, Elder Shungwan of the Heavenly Mystery Peak spoke up to ask, "In recent years, the best record in our sect still belongs to this generation's Saint Son and Saintess, does it not?" Xu Wei nodded with a sigh. That year, when the Saint Son cultivated, it took him more than 8 days to enter the body-forging realm. As for the Saintess, due to her unique physical constitution, she only took 6 days. Speaking of this, he turned his head to look at Saint Son Li Zhengyun. "Zhengyun, how long do you think junior brother Shi might take to forge his body?" As soon as his words fell, all eyes turned to the Saint Son. The Saint Son hesitated for a long moment before replying. Junior brother Shi possesses peerless talent, and this disciple dares not make a rash guess. However, the path of martial Dao, besides one's innate talent, also places great importance on comprehension. Junior brother Shi cultivates a heaven-grade supreme cultivation technique. Thus, the higher the requirement for comprehension, the longer the time needed for profound insight. Therefore, it would be quite normal for the time taken to enter the body-forging realm to exceed 3 days. Upon hearing this, the elders nodded in satisfaction. The outcome the Saint Son spoke of perfectly aligned with their own thoughts. After all, for a mortal body, cultivating without the boost of a special physique, a slower pace was quite normal. But surely, within 10 days, it would still be accomplished. Wu Xiao also found himself admiring Shi Qi even more, his intention to take him as a disciple growing stronger. At the same time, a hint of curiosity sparked within his heart. How many days would this mortal body prodigy take to create such a miracle and enter the body-forging realm? Meanwhile, I was utterly engrossed in cultivating the Wuji Dao Zhang. Blessed with the system's 10,000-fold talent amplification, my comprehension was incredibly high. By the 5th cycle of practice, I no longer needed to deliberately control my breathing or the circulation paths of my technique. As the night passed, I inhaled the first wisp of spiritual energy of the morning. My body suddenly tensed, and the system's notification abruptly rang in my ear. Ding, host has cultivated to the body-forging realm. Guidance mission completed. Reward received, 1 minor attainment martial skill scroll. Hearing these words, I was overwhelmed with excitement, but even more agitated than I were the elders hovering in the sky. They watched with wide eyes as a mere mortal cultivated to the body-forging realm, and to their utter astonishment it had only taken 12 hours. The Tai Sect Master muttered in shock. 12 hours! He has shattered the record for the fastest body forging among all heavens chosen since ancient times. He recalled that year it had taken him 17 days to enter the body forging realm. This made the Sect Master realize for the first time that such an immense difference could exist between individuals on the path of cultivation. He then let out a self-deprecating laugh. Fortunately, I was born 3,000 years before him. Otherwise, in the same era, my Dao heart would surely shatter. However, several elders suddenly frowned. Shi Qi has now officially embarked on the path of cultivation, but we are unable to leave. Who will guide him? The body-forging realm is the first realm on the path of cultivation, and it is exceedingly crucial. Whether one cultivates meticulously or haphazardly will directly determine the heights they can achieve in the future. Auxiliary cultivation methods for the body tempering stage are as numerous as stars, but using them poorly or not at all will lead to final outcomes for this realm that are worlds apart. We only hope we can extricate ourselves soon, and that this young man does not cultivate recklessly on his own. Hearing this, the Sect Master fell silent, yet he could only pray in his heart, hoping that the Wuji Daozang was sufficiently miraculous that even if one were to cultivate it step by step without any auxiliary methods, they could still achieve remarkable results. Unlike the anxieties of the elders, I, though having cultivated through the night, felt unexpectedly refreshed. With a surge of excitement, I stretched my arms. After half a year of arduous cultivation, I had finally touched upon the transcendent realm, no longer a mere mortal. After a moment of adaptation, I curiously clenched my fist. Ah yes, I wonder what level my current strength has reached. If one were to cultivate the Darirong Lushen, after body tempering, a single hand could achieve 9,200 Jin of force, and if they possessed a special physique, reaching 10,000 Jin would be no arduous feat. Though I possess only a mortal physique, cultivating the even more profound Wuji Daozang, it should be easy to surpass 10,000 Jin. I only wonder where my true limit lies. After a moment of contemplation, I decided to head to the Yanwu Hall for a test. But first, I had to use the minor proficiency martial skill scroll awarded by the system, learn a martial skill, and only then proceed to the Yanwu Hall. The battle prowess in this realm is comprised of cultivation techniques, martial skills, divine abilities, magical artifacts, and divine weapons. Among these, martial skills and divine abilities are fundamental for a cultivator to establish themselves. Furthermore, according to the requirements of the Wuji Daozang, the body tempering stage necessitates tempering the body through combat with battle beasts. The demonic beasts on the sect's Wanshou Peak could serve as perfect practice. I then walked to the 9th floor of the Scripture Pavilion, beginning my selection of a jade slip for a top-grade heavenly tier martial skill. My gaze first fell upon the Tai Yifu Chen palm. This palm technique, as agile and graceful as a Taoist fly whisk, didn't seem quite suitable for me. The Juetian finger martial skill also seemed decent, but using a finger technique to fight demonic beasts might prove insufficiently sturdy. I temporarily set those aside and continued browsing, finally stopping before a floating jade slip. From the spiritual aura emanating from this jade slip, it seemed utterly indifferent to its surroundings. I read the description beside it. Wu Ye Zhen Xingquan, a top-grade heavenly tier martial skill that utilizes fist intent to draw upon the souls of renowned mountains and great lands. Each punch descends like a towering peak, unparalleled in its crushing weight, capable of suppressing all. This fist art demands a profound foundation. One cannot cultivate it unless they are in the body tempering stage and capable of wielding 10,000 jin of force. Upon reading this, I was overjoyed. This was an unrivaled mighty fist art, truly tailor-made for me. The 5 sacred mountains of this world were somewhat different from those of my previous world. They were not only vast and majestic, but also harbored countless mineral veins, nourishing myriad living beings. This fist art was reputed to, when cultivated to its peak, allow one to use the very souls of the 5 sacred mountains to suppress all existence. Though it sounded somewhat exaggerated, its might could not be underestimated. After all, the true power of any martial skill is intrinsically linked to one's cultivation level. A mere body-tempering cultivator executing this fist would appear as feeble as a chick-pecking grain. Yet, should a divine realm powerhouse unleash it, they could shatter heaven and earth, perhaps even obliterate an entire continent like Xianxia with a single punch. The more I pondered, the greater my delight grew. I promptly placed the jade slip against my forehead. All the profound mysteries and crucial cultivation insights of the fist art flooded into my sea of consciousness. A few breaths later, I contentedly released the jade slip. Not rushing to use the minor proficiency martial skill scroll, I instead took light steps, departing the scripture pavilion. I then swiftly activated a flying boat, heading directly for the Yanwu Hall on Chuangong Peak. Meanwhile, when the elders of the Taiyi True sect saw that I had chosen the Wu Yue Jin Xingquan, they all furrowed their brows. Why did Shi Qi choose this martial skill? The Wu Yue Jin Xingquan has resided in the scripture pavilion for millions of years. Many have attempted to comprehend it, but wasn't the only one to succeed the 32nd generation sect leader. Indeed, that Sect Master possessed extraordinary innate talent and an unparalleled domineering physique, making him supremely suited for body tempering. That year, he cultivated the Wu Ye Jin Xingquan to grand completion, sweeping through this realm unmatched and invincible. Alas, though this technique possessed astonishing power, its cultivation difficulty was exceedingly high. I recall that even the Sect Master ultimately failed to cultivate this technique to true consummation. Not only that, but before his demise, that very Sect Master bluntly stated that he had wasted too much time in his life comprehending the Wu Yue Jin Xingquan, ultimately leading to an insufficient lifespan. Otherwise, he might very well have ascended to the divine realm. One can only wonder if the Sect Master on his deathbed ever regretted cultivating this peerless martial skill. Regardless of the Sect Master's thoughts, that is all a matter of the past. The immediate concern is why Shi Qi chose this particular martial skill. He has only just tempered his body and is cultivating a martial skill for the first time. At this stage, it would be most reasonable to choose a profound tier martial skill to practice. The elders believed that cultivation should emphasize balance. To helplessly watch a promising talent stumble down the wrong path due to reckless cultivation filled them with immense worry, especially the Taiyi Sect Master, who at this moment was frowning, secretly contemplating. Although Shi Qi possessed extraordinary talent, he was still a true mortal physique. When cultivating the Wu Yue Jin Xingquan, he would have no additional assistance like an unparalleled domineering physique. This was undoubtedly a path fraught with peril. Wu Xiao, standing by his side, clenched her fists tightly. She could not bear to watch me stray down a misguided path in my cultivation. Her gaze then fell upon the venerable elders and senior disciples, those who had cultivated for thousands of years. Regardless of their divine abilities or their mastery of unorthodox techniques, Chu Jian and Chu Wen far surpassed ordinary disciples. Could there truly be no solution to be found at this critical juncture? Could they perhaps traverse the Taiyi True Gate to communicate with the lower realm? Or at the very least, dispatch a few warning signals? Any action would surely be superior to merely standing by and fretting. Upon hearing these urgent words, the elders all sank into deep contemplation. Yet the very individual causing such distress among these esteemed elders was at this very moment aboard a flying skiff journeying towards the martial arena. This arena was exclusively for disciples in the body tempering stage to rigorously test their physical prowess. My gaze swept across the myriad cultivation implements scattered upon the ground, ultimately settling upon a stone boulder weighing 10,000 jin. I then drew a deep breath and with a single powerful hand hoisted it effortlessly above my head. I had anticipated a considerable struggle, yet to my astonishment it proved to be remarkably effortless. A profound shock reverberated within my very soul. I had in truth severely underestimated my own capabilities. Placing the stone weight back down, I proceeded to test a succession of increasingly heavier implements. Ultimately, I discovered that I could, with some exertion, single-handedly lift a stone pillar weighing 18,000 jin. One could only conclude that the limitless Tao scripture was indeed incomparably mighty. To think I was merely at the first stage of body tempering, yet my single-handed strength had already reached a staggering 18,000 jin. The higher one progressed in the body tempering realm, the greater their power would become, and the more profound the benefits reaped thereafter. Each subsequent breakthrough would comprehensively enhance the physical body. Once body tempering reached its culmination, the cumulative augmentation would truly be a colossal leap. After a moment of meticulous introspection, I could not help but allow a subtle smirk to grace my lips. This indeed was the fate I deserved after my transmigration. With the sect still standing and my single-handed might reaching 18,000 jin, surely they would have no choice but to bestow upon me the title of a true disciple? Alas, the Great Tribulation of heaven and earth was destined to descend in merely 3 years. For now, I could only employ every conceivable method to secure my own survival. With these thoughts weighing upon my mind, I proceeded into the edifice situated before the martial arena. The relentless cycle of reading and high-intensity cultivation for a full day and night had utterly depleted my energies. A deep, restorative slumber was imperative to recuperate my vital essence. Once fully rested, I would cultivate the 5 Peaks True Form Fist until I achieved minor accomplishment. Thereafter, I would venture to Myriad Beast Peak, seeking out formidable spirit beasts for actual combat tempering. Such was the cultivation regimen I meticulously charted within my heart. Having entered this grand edifice, I sought out any available cot and succumbed to a slumber so profound it resembled death itself. Meanwhile, in another location entirely, my astonishing feat of single-handedly hoisting 18,000 jin had sent the inner and outer sect disciples into an absolute frenzy. What just happened? An 18,000 jin stone pillar, he lifted it with a single hand. Were we not told that a mere mortal body possesses no extraordinary capabilities? How can he possess such immense power? To achieve such a feat at only the first stage of body tempering is truly unprecedented. Could it be that Shi Qi is secretly receiving guidance in his cultivation from the Grand Elder himself? To complete body tempering in a single night and then wield the strength of 18,000 jin? This is unheard of. He has shattered our sect's long-standing record. This individual's innate talent, I fear, even surpasses my own. Who dared claim that only direct lineages of ancient clans or sacred holy lands could birth such prodigious talents and peerless geniuses? Shi Qi is truly a shining beacon of inspiration for all of us outer sect disciples. As the depths of night descended, coinciding with my profound slumber, the disciples, deprived of their object of fascination, gradually found their excitement waning, giving way to a dull tedium. The true disciples and inner sect disciples, having cultivated for decades, could readily endure such stillness. However, the outer sect disciples, less accustomed to prolonged periods of quiet, found the sudden lack of commotion quite unbearable. Soon they began to engage in idle chatter amongst themselves. Yet the central theme of their discussions invariably circled back to me. Truly, what transpired yesterday felt utterly like a dream. This is the first time I've ever witnessed such a phenomenon. What's even more preposterous is that this phenomenon was actually caused by a mere mortal. Why did Shi Qi not accompany us into the Tai Zhenshu? Who could possibly know? I suspect he doesn't even know where we've gone. In other words, from Shi Qi's perspective, he merely slumbered, only to awaken to find the entire sect in the upper realm mysteriously vanished. Then he is truly fortunate. Faced with an empty sect, would he not be free to do as he pleased? Indeed. Now the Grand Elders have even bestowed upon him the title of an independent disciple. With such elevated status, even if he were to lay waste to the sect, upon our return, the Sect Master would utter no word of complaint. He might even commend Shi Qi's immense power. But what if we are unable to escape? Then Shi Qi will truly suffer. Living alone in such a vast sect without a single soul to speak with, not even a pet to accompany him. For a few months it might be tolerable, but if it stretches to years or even decades, one would surely descend into madness. The Outer Peak Elder, overhearing their discourse, could only roll his eyes in exasperation. What a group of ignorant youths. If we truly cannot escape, never mind Shi Qi's plight, it is we who will surely descend into madness first. Yet with 3 Grand Elders present, how could we possibly not find our way out? Afterward, he covertly cast his gaze deep into the secret realm. He knew not why, but a sense of trepidation suddenly seized his heart. Meanwhile, at the very heart of the Tai Zhenshu, the sect's most senior figures were not concerned with their escape. Instead, they were frantically seeking to contact me, urging me not to squander my time cultivating that particular 5 Peaks True Form Fist. At this very moment, Xianxia paced back and forth, her brow furrowed in thought. Spiritual energy sound transmissions proved futile, and even the heavenly mechanism, Jade Slip, yielded no connection. What other methods remained? For the past half hour, the elders of their 12 peaks had relentlessly brainstormed, yet no reliable solution emerged. Ultimately, the Tai Zhenshu's formidable boundary laws, intertwining with the real world, were simply too potent. At their current cultivation level, penetrating them was fundamentally impossible. Wu Xiao, extracting a patterned long sword from her spatial ring, let out a deep sigh. Alas, my flower burial sword has been brought in here with us. Otherwise, perhaps I could have remotely controlled it to capture Shi Qi's attention. Upon hearing this, Zuotsimo, the Peak Master of Zhenhun Peak, his eyes gleaming with sudden insight, exclaimed, "Esteemed fellow disciples, Senior Sister Wu's words have sparked an idea within me. Those puppet beasts we left behind in the sect, could they perhaps still be remotely controlled?" At these words, a glimmer of hope ignited in everyone's eyes. For the cultivation of puppetry techniques necessitates the division of one's divine sense, which is then implanted into the puppet for remote command. Indeed, this divided divine sense possesses an exceptionally high priority, akin to a blood-refined divine weapon. Even across tens of thousands of miles, even with array formations obstructing the path, a connection can still be sensed. The elder of Tiangong Peak hastily turned to him. "Old Zuo," he urged, "quickly attempt to ascertain if you can establish contact with your collection of scraps." Before Zuochimo could even flare in anger, Xianxia had already turned, a frown deepening on her face, to glare at Liu Daojie. "Senior brother Daojie," she rebuked, "why must you constantly disparage junior brother Zuo? It is sufficient to know in your heart that they are mere scraps. Is there truly a need to vocalize such a fact? The sect master could no longer bear to listen. Junior brother, he commanded. You too, quickly cease your babbling. Zuochimo, his face rigid, clasped his hands in deference to the sect master. Sect master, senior brother, then I shall commence. The sect master, his expression filled with anticipation, nodded gravely. Very well, proceed with your attempt. Should you fail, there shall be no fault. Zuochimo nodded, then, bringing his 2 fingers together, he profoundly channeled a divine ability incantation. The assembled elders watched as his spellcasting grew increasingly arduous, his complexion turning visibly pale. After a protracted silence, Zuochimo abruptly retracted his divine ability, gasping for breath and wiping the beads of sweat from his forehead. Witnessing his state, Wu Xiao hastily stepped forward, inquiring junior brother Zuo, what is the outcome? Zuochimo shook his head. The barrier laws, established by the founding ancestor himself, are simply too formidable. My divine sense commands are utterly incapable of penetrating them. Upon hearing his words, a wave of disappointment washed over everyone present. It was then that Zuochimo spoke again, adding, however, by some twist of fate, there is one small puppet beast I barely managed to establish contact with. It is that palm-sized Xianxia I fashioned when I first dabbled in puppetry techniques. Due to my inexperience at the time, it proved a failure, transforming into a defective product, which I subsequently cast into Zhenhun Peak's storeroom. My attempts just now to contact other high-level puppets were all obstructed by the Tai Zhenshu. This is likely due to the immense flow of divine sense required to command them. However, this flawed small beast, requiring only a minimal divine sense, successfully established a connection. Being a defective product, it is incapable of channeling spiritual energy for spellcasting. Its capabilities are thus severely limited. The Tai Sect Master, upon hearing these words, dismissively waved his hand. It matters not, he declared, so long as it can be controlled to perform actions. We merely need to locate Shi Qi. Once found for your puppet beast to merely write the cause and effect upon the ground, its mission will be considered utterly fulfilled. In the Sect Master's estimation, whether Zuochimo's puppet beast possessed offensive capabilities or even the ability to transmit sound was fundamentally irrelevant. After all, within the sect, all is safe. Shi Qi would face no peril. Therefore, as long as this small puppet beast could move normally, it would already signify success. Once Shi Qi is finally located, all that is needed is for the construct to write upon the ground. Once Shi Qi sees it, he will naturally grasp the situation. The other elders present silently concurred with this notion. At this moment, Yu Xiao smiled. Junior Martial Brothers Zuo, quickly send your construct to find Shi Qi. Once he abandons the 5 Peaks True Form Fist, he can conveniently switch to cultivating my lower heaven grade Grand Unity Clear Light Sword Art. No sooner had her words faded than the Sect Master immediately interjected. Senior Martial Sister Yu, what absurdity are you speaking? Once contact is established with Shi Qi, he must surely follow me to learn the Yi Wood Reversion Heaven Art. This is a lower heaven grade divine ability, perfectly suited for cultivation during the body tempering stage. It is exceedingly rare in this era. Should one cultivate it to mastery, even with but a single breath remaining, one can regenerate their flesh and blood. Upon hearing this, Yu Xiao maintained her radiant smile. Does the Sect Master truly intend for our Hidden Sword Pavilion's once-in-a-million-years genius to forego learning offensive techniques, and instead focus on how to merely endure blows and preserve his life? Witnessing their escalating dispute, Zuochimo, who had been on the verge of speaking, thought better of it, then stepped forward. Senior Martial Brother Sect Master, Senior Martial Sister, please both of you cease your arguments. My spiritual beast in truth cannot write. No sooner had he spoken than the Sect Master's brow furrowed. What do you mean by that? Yu Xiao too appeared utterly bewildered. If it is a spiritual beast, it would surely possess sharp claws. How could it possibly be unable to write upon the ground? Zuochimo awkwardly rubbed his hands. It is because I designed its 4 legs to be spherical. You senior and junior martial brothers will understand once you see it. With that, he channeled a spell formula, unleashing his spiritual sense, and in an instant established contact with the storage warehouse on the lower realm mountain. Then, under the astonished gazes of all present, a perfectly spherical iron ball rolled out from the small warehouse door, finally revealing its true form beneath the moonlight. It was a palm-sized metallic Xianxia, its entire body mottled with rust, appearing at first glance like nothing more than an iron toy. Its eyes were inlaid with 2 crimson rubies. From its back sprouted a pair of wings, akin to tattered cloth. Its 4 legs were so short they were almost imperceptible, causing it to waddle clumsily. Its tail resembled a ragged broom. Then Zuo's face flushed, pointed at the little construct. Look, everyone, he exclaimed, it can barely walk. How could it possibly write words? All present were dumbfounded. Shangguan Kun could not help but grumble. Old Zuo, he scoffed, what kind of pathetic puppet have you forged? If you were to face an enemy, would you truly rely on this to frighten them to death with laughter? Upon hearing this, Zuochimo unhappily retorted, I already told you it was a failed refinement. Besides, do you not find this little construct innocent and utterly endearing? Perceiving that the two were on the verge of another argument, the Sect Master immediately raised his voice to intervene. Enough, he commanded, silent of you. Junior Martial Brother Zuo, how then will this construct of yours manage to reach Shi Qi? Zuochimo hastily explained, reporting to Senior Martial Brother Sect Master, although the internal formation arrays of this puppet beast are almost entirely crippled, its wings can still be activated normally. Thus, it possesses a certain flight capability. Upon hearing these words, the Sect Master's eyes lit up and he secretly rejoiced within his heart. Fortunately, this construct's original form was that of a Xianxia. Otherwise, without wings, this endeavor would have reached a dead end. He then hastily commanded, "Try activating it. If it works, let it fly towards transmission peak. As for how it will communicate and relay the message to Shi Qi once it reaches him, we shall take one step at a time." Zuo Simo nodded, accepting the command. He immediately split off a wisp of spiritual sense to control it. The puppet construct instantly flapped the tattered wings on its back and ascended, its spherical body wobbling precariously in the air. Many elders, witnessing this, could not help but feel a surge of worry. Seeing their concern, Zuo Simo hastily explained, "Senior and junior martial brothers, there is no need to worry. Although this beast was a failed refinement, its materials are exceptionally good. Crafted from starfall flowing light iron, its body is incredibly tough, capable of withstanding a full blow from a Purple Mansion realm cultivator." Only then, upon hearing these assurances, did everyone finally feel at ease. And so time continued to pass. Until with the sun high in the sky, I finally awoke. After a simple cleansing, I pondered my next cultivation plans as I made my way to the training grounds. First, I intended to limber my muscles and bones, then try practicing the 5 Peaks True Form Fists once more, to gauge its feeling without relying on the system. But before I could even assume a stance, I beheld not far on the horizon a spherical metallic construct wobbling precariously towards me. As the metallic orb drew ever closer, I immediately lifted my foot and delivered a powerful kick. With a resounding whoosh, the metallic orb was sent hurtling back. Simultaneously, high above the sect, a group of elders watched, utterly dumbfounded. They had spent the entire night watching the puppet construct fly. Having finally reached the transmission peak with great difficulty, it was unexpectedly kicked back before I could even properly interact with it. The Sect Master was the quickest to react, issuing anxious commands. "Quickly, make it fly back. We must intercept it before Shi Qi begins cultivating the 5 Peaks True Form Fist." Zuo Simo gritted his teeth and nodded. He had been controlling that scrap metal Xianxia beast, flying it throughout the entire night. Now the divine sense link between them was growing increasingly faint. Many times he found himself unable to maintain stable control. The most critical issue was his inability to infuse more divine sense into it. Otherwise, he would surely be separated by the barrier of the Tai True Ruins, thereby severing their connection. At this moment, he could only carefully perceive those faint responses, striving to guide the small puppet beast swiftly back to the transmission peak. Meanwhile, I stroked my chin, a look of profound confusion on my face. What strange contraption was that just now? It seemed to be a puppet beast. Recalling the sensation of kicking it and my closer observation, I became even more certain my assessment was not mistaken. In other regions, puppet beasts were indeed a rare sight. However, within the Tai True sect, due to the presence of the soul-suppressing peak, they were not considered overly uncommon. When I first joined the sect, I once encountered a puppet beast within the outer peak. It was a giant bird, massive in form, its entire body forged from steel. Upon its back, several true disciples were returning from an expedition. At that time, I naturally had no idea what kind of puppet beast it was. I only learned by overhearing the conversations of the outer sect senior brothers nearby. My heart swelled with admiration for the myriad and diverse cultivation methods existing within this vast world. I recall that puppet beasts were said to be refined using the divine souls of cultivators, much like the spiritual jade slips found within the scripture depository. Now that the entire sect has evacuated, all the puppet mechanisms must surely have been taken with them. Yet that iron puppet from earlier was somehow left behind. Could it be that, like me, it failed to board the evacuation vessel? Perhaps having missed the main exodus, it then stumbled upon me and sought my presence for some inexplicable reason? I muttered to myself, but did not dwell on the thought. After all, it was merely a puppet beast. I shook my head, then assumed my stance, ready to begin my cultivation. Just then, from the corner of my eye, I caught sight of an iron puppet appearing upon the steps of the martial practice ground. It staggered, then rolled erratically towards me, finally colliding with my calf and nearly toppling me. Its 4 spherical iron legs flailed wildly in the air, while its broom-like tail continuously thrashed against the ground. I blinked, then tapped my finger lightly on the small puppet's head. I opened my mouth and asked 3 questions in quick succession. "My iron friend, have you returned? Do you seek me for a specific purpose? Do you by chance know what has truly transpired within the sect? And can you comprehend my words?" At that very moment, a group of agitated elders watched the scene unfold. The Sect Master, seizing Zuo Simo by the arm, urged him, "Quickly, control the puppet, make it respond." Hearing this, Zuo Simo hastily channeled his divine sense, yet the more he hurried, the transmission of his divine sense became even more unstable. Seeing no reaction from the small puppet below, my own brows slowly began to furrow. Zuo Simo was so flustered that beads of sweat began to form on his brow. Seeing this, Yu Xiao, filled with doubt, questioned, "Is it truly so difficult to simply make it nod?" Zuo Simo's expression was one of profound distress. "I too wish for it to nod," Zuo Simo lamented. "But after controlling it to fly throughout the entire night, the remaining stability of the formation patterns within its body has been utterly depleted. Thus, many commands are now hit or miss." Hearing these words, Lu Dao scoffed, his face etched with blatant disdain. "Then is this dilapidated contraption not entirely useless?" Zuo Simo instantly grew displeased, rushing to its defense. "What are you uttering? If not for my little Xianxia, we would not even have this slight connection to Shi Qi at this very moment. Furthermore, it is not entirely incapable. I just tested it," he continued. "While the command to nod is indeed difficult to achieve, it can still shake its head. Sensing my waning interest, the Sect Master swiftly placed the small Shi Qi onto the ground and hastily exclaimed, "If it's shaking its head, then let it. Hurry, make it shake its head." Upon hearing this, the assembled elders were utterly aghast. "Sect Master, you mustn't. Is this not denying the very doubt Shi Qi has painstakingly begun to foster, even as he awaits your word?" Yu Xiao had already clarified, asserting that the Sect Master's actions were not erroneous. If it cannot nod now, then let it shake its head. For the most pressing matter now is to impress upon Shi Qi that this small beast possesses true sentience and is not merely an ordinary puppet. Should Shi Qi, on account of this, decide to keep it by his side, then we shall gain the opportunity to gradually interact with it, guiding it towards the profound truth. Upon these words, understanding dawned upon all present. Indeed, whether it nods or shakes its head at this juncture is of little consequence. To elicit any response at all, that is the paramount objective. Zuo Simo, having regained his composure, swiftly transmitted a spiritual command. And just as I prepared to discard this peculiar metallic puppet, I witnessed it slowly shake its small metallic head. I gazed in disbelief at the small steel beast before me. Can it be you truly comprehend my words? If it has indeed shaken its head, then this small beast must truly be a relic left behind, one that, like myself, remains ignorant of the calamity that befell our sect. It must have in its desolation merely seen me as a sect disciple and believed that by my side it would find some refuge. How truly pitiful. Pondering this, I refrained from kicking the small Shi Qi away this time. After all, within the sect, apart from myself, the only other entity capable of movement was this seemingly foolish beast puppet. Deciding to keep it as a companion, I gently set it down upon the ground. "Little one, if you truly wish to follow me, then remain. However, I must now engage in cultivation. Step aside, lest you be injured." Upon hearing my words, the small metallic Shi Qi seemed to fall into a thoughtful stupor, as if grasping some profound meaning. Meanwhile, high above in the secret realm, assembled elders collectively breathed a sigh of immense relief. The small beast puppet had successfully remained by my side, signifying that the sole channel of communication between the two parties had not been severed. Thereupon Zuosimo formed a hand seal and inquired, "What course of action should we pursue now?" This query, though simple, left every elder in a quandary. A flawed small Shi Qi that could neither speak nor write and now seemingly could not even nod. How then were they to warn Shi Qi against cultivating the Five Peaks True Form Fist? Suddenly, Shangguan, the Peak Master of Tianji Peak, rose to his feet. "I have devised a strategy. Junior brother Zuo can guide the small beast through its movements upon the ground, employing its entire form to inscribe the message we wish to transmit. The initial sight may appear somewhat peculiar, but with repeated attempts, I am certain that with Shi Qi's keen intellect, he will undoubtedly discern the hidden clues." No sooner had this plan been unveiled than the elders all applauded in fervent admiration. Zuo Simo immediately seized control, and as I assumed my cultivation stance, I beheld the rusty beast puppet suddenly careening about, as if possessed. Yet due to its spherical legs, its movement was more akin to rolling and tumbling haphazardly. Not only was I left utterly bewildered, but even the venerable elders of Tai Zhenshu themselves darkened in their gazes. Shangguan Kun furrowed his brow and rebuked, "Old Zuo, what manner of control is this? Who among us could possibly discern that it is attempting to inscribe characters?" Zuo Simo swiftly retorted, "If you are so proficient, then by all means you undertake this task. The small Shi Qi, to begin with, possesses inherently unstable locomotion, and now I am compelled to maneuver it to inscribe so many characters. My current performance is already commendable." Just as Shangguan Kun prepared to retort, he was met with a stern gaze from the Sect Master, who then spoke, inquiring, "Junior brother Zuo, what message are you attempting to convey?" Zuo Simo replied, "The sect is safe. Do not cultivate the Five Peaks True Form Fist." Upon hearing this, the Sect Master shook his head, "Unacceptable. The characters are too numerous. Condense it into but 4 characters. Do not cultivate." Zuo Simo immediately executed the command. Below, the metallic Shi Qi, whose movements were already quite abstract, had its initial message still incomplete when the characters it was inscribing abruptly shifted mid-course. I had initially assumed this metallic puppet was merely having a fit. However, upon closer observation, I began to perceive a discernible pattern in its erratic movements. I could not help but observe more intently. Could it be, are you truly inscribing characters? But what message do these inscriptions convey? In the heavens? The multitude of elders, upon hearing these words, became immensely agitated. "The heavens bear witness, may the ancestral masters grant their blessing." The young one has comprehended. Shi Qi's innate talent for comprehension is indeed profound. He has discerned that the small beast is in fact attempting to inscribe characters. He would undoubtedly comprehend those words. "Zuo, junior brother, pay heed to your task. Your spiritual sense must not falter. You must exert your utmost to inscribe this message clearly." Zuo Qimao felt an immense pressure at this moment. If this little Xianxia could only keep its 4 stubby legs still, inscribing characters on the ground with its claws would be no great feat. However, the true challenge lay in its 4 unnaturally flexible joints. It couldn't even control a simple nod naturally, and now it was forced to use those short, erratically flailing limbs to etch symbols onto the very earth. The 4 characters, no need to cultivate, were utterly scribbled beyond recognition. Their only hope now lay with Shi Qi, praying he could decipher this exceedingly abstract tableau. Meanwhile, I meticulously observed the erratic trajectory of the little Xianxia puppet. After a long and arduous observation, I could barely discern a faint pattern. It was, in truth, attempting to inscribe characters. Though the strokes were profoundly crooked, it was undeniable that it strove to convey some message to me. A character, weak, seemed to emerge from the chaos. Simultaneously, as I deciphered this single character, the Tai Zhenshu surged with renewed commotion. He guessed correctly. The innate talent of Shi Jr. nephew is truly formidable. Verily, even if this old man were privy to the answer, gazing upon that little beast's scribbled symbols, I would discern not a single correct stroke. Yet Shi Qi, against all odds, deciphered a character correctly. He is without doubt a true prodigy. Shi Qi, this individual, possesses an unparalleled cultivation aptitude and intellect. Such a precious seed, the more one observes him, the greater the joy and anticipation he inspires. We must, without fail, guide him onto the righteous path. Indeed, the very question of whether our Tai Zhenmin can reclaim its former glory, the future wholly and solely rests upon Shi Qi's shoulders. The Sect Master, too, exhaled a long breath, his agitated heart finding a semblance of calm. Shi Qi is discerning. He has already deciphered the character weak. Surely then he cannot fail to recognize the simplest character, not? By then, regardless of how illegibly the little beast puppet scribbled, merely by discerning the two characters not weak, and considering the location of this very martial arts arena, Shi Qi would undoubtedly grasp the profound implication. And should this critical step prove successful, then in the future, whether it be explaining the sect's precarious situation or guiding Shi Qi from afar, none of it would remain mere fantasy. Pondering this outcome, the Sect Master and Wu both felt at ease. Meanwhile, from my vantage point below, after repeatedly scrutinizing the symbols and relying on my formidable deductive powers, I declared decisively, the first character is weak. What follows is far from clear, yet it appears to contain the character cultivate. From a sentence of what appears to be over a dozen characters, to have deciphered two is no small feat. But what profound meaning does weak cultivate truly hold? Can it be a solemn reminder urging me not to grow complacent in my cultivation? No sooner had these words left my lips than the little beast puppet, which had been wildly scribbling upon the earth, froze instantaneously. Within the Tai Zhenju, the gathered cultivators were collectively astounded, their composure shattered. How could he discern the character weak, yet completely miss the knot that preceded it? I perceived the true conundrum. Why did Shi Qi believe the beast puppet was inscribing over a dozen characters, when in truth there were but 4? Shi Qi, though immensely intelligent, must have failed to properly control the little Xianxia. Zuo, junior brother, what ails you? Upon hearing this, Zuo Qimao cast a look of profound indignation upon all present. Esteemed cultivators, I have already exerted my utmost. As for why Shi Qi perceived over a dozen characters, it is because the original inscription was indeed a sentence of great length. Only then, when the characters were abruptly altered mid-inscription, did this misunderstanding arise. Upon hearing these revelations, all present were struck dumb with shock. Shu Wuxuanqi stomped his foot in exasperation. Even so, it cannot possibly be interpreted as weak cultivate. This is utterly contrary to the intent we sought to convey. The other elders were likewise at a loss for words. At this precise moment, my voice rang out from below, cutting through the stunned silence. Little one, henceforth, your name shall be Tai Tai. You speak truly. The hour is urgent now, and I can indeed no longer afford to delay. Today, come what may, I must thoroughly practice the Five Peaks True Form Fist. But how could the assembled elders truly concern themselves with the triviality of a name I bestowed? The moment they heard my intention to resume cultivation, a palpable tension immediately seized them. Zuo Qimao, in an act of desperation, transmitted his spiritual sense, urging the little Xianxia to vigorously shake its head as a frantic warning. But I, from my position below, merely smiled upon witnessing the spectacle. Very well, very well. I understand you are overseeing my progress, ensuring I do not yield to sloth. Rest assured, I shall now commence my cultivation. Having spoken, I immediately drew upon the profound understanding of the Five Peaks True Form Fist enshrined within my mind and began my earnest cultivation. Thereafter, surges of majestic aura began to envelop me, yet the elders' suspended hearts did not find relief, but rather sank into an unsettling despair. Alas, it is done. Once this fist technique is commenced, without 2 or 3 decades, minor accomplishment remains a distant dream. Our sect's once-in-a-million-years prodigy is about to be tragically squandered upon this heaven-grade high-rank martial art. Many of the elders, whose gaze was perpetually fixed upon the unfolding scene below, were suddenly startled by Liu Daoji's incredulous cry, "Look quickly, Shi Qi has already completed a full cycle." Upon his first practice of the fist arts, blurry afterimages already appeared around his body. He was indeed a once-in-a-million-years genius. Alas, even with such prodigious talent, achieving initial mastery would still require a decade. Shi Qi had ultimately taken a circuitous route. Afterward, the Sect Master gravely inquired, "Fellow disciples, is there truly no other way?" But this time, everyone was genuinely out of options, only able to shake their heads in helplessness. Just then, Liu Daoji spoke up once more. "Shi Qi has already begun his second practice." Everyone hastily looked down, only to see that this time he practiced without pause, seemingly completely immersed within the technique. The various peak masters and elders watched our protagonist practice with a serious expression, their hearts filled with utter despair. Even the disciples within the Tai Zhenshu had ashen, crestfallen faces. Compared to tedious cultivation, they yearned to see how rapidly he would cultivate. But now he was deeply immersed in the fist arts, personally severing his own bright future. The core disciples sighed, shaking their heads, softly discussing the shallow understanding of this junior generation talent. Only the holy son Li Zhengyun was laughing maniacally in his heart. This little Shi Qi, possessing a peerless heavenly grade cultivation technique, is still not content, foolishly attempting to simultaneously cultivate a top-grade heavenly grade martial skill. With such greed, if you don't regress in your cultivation, then who will? Perhaps he's just an utter fool, genuinely willing to spend 10 or even 20 years practicing fist arts, ultimately not even having enough time to achieve a breakthrough to the soul-tempering realm. As long as Shi Qi continues to cultivate like this, the ultimate victor will undoubtedly be me. As he was thus pondering, he suddenly heard Liu Daoji's peculiar voice. Have you noticed that Shi Qi's fist momentum seems to be growing increasingly powerful? The moment these words were uttered, the transmission peak master Xu Wuxuan immediately observed carefully, then his expression turned to one of utter disbelief. Indeed it was so. Shi Qi's fist momentum was increasing at an astonishing rate, as if each of his strikes was equivalent to others practicing 10,000 times. What in the heavens was truly happening? Prompted by this, the other elders also noticed the abnormality. Upon closer inspection, it was indeed the case. This fist momentum was growing at an incredible speed. This old man, having lived for over 4 millennia, has never witnessed such a phenomenon. Shi Qi's fist momentum was now entirely different from when he first began, as if two separate states. This was absolutely not something achievable within a mere few hours. Could it be that in the realm of cultivating martial skills, he also possessed unrivaled talent? What they did not know was that the reason for his divine progress stemmed from that martial skill's initial mastery plaque. In truth, relying on his own aptitude, after completing the first practice, he had already sensed the profound difficulty of this martial skill. Therefore, from the second practice onward, he had secretly activated his hidden cheat. He had also entered a wondrous state. He felt as though his perception and experience of everything were infinitely magnified. At this pace, he was certain he could reach initial mastery before dusk. He mused inwardly, then unleashed another round of the fist art. As time slowly passed, he clearly demonstrated signs of rapidly approaching initial mastery. The disciples of the Tai Zhenmen were utterly dumbfounded. A martial skill that ordinary people required decades of painstaking training to learn, he had grasped in a mere few hours. At this moment, as he grew increasingly proficient in the foundational principles of the fist art, the image of mountains hidden within the fist's afterimages became clearer, eventually manifesting distinctly. Each move and stance was as weighty as 10,000 armies, a powerful aura enveloping both heaven and earth. Witnessing this sight, the transmission peak master who had taught disciples for half his life found himself plunged into profound self-doubt. This utterly defied all established conventions of the cultivation world. The Holy Son's face was even more utterly dumbfounded. He repeatedly rubbed his eyes, desperately hoping it was all just an illusion of his own making. Yet the exclamations of shock from everyone around him clearly told him that it was all terrifyingly real. In just one day, Shi Qi had nearly brought a top-grade heavenly rank martial skill to initial mastery. Meanwhile, on the training ground below, as the final fist technique condensed in his hand, 5 majestic streams of fist intent shot towards the heavens, transforming into 5 illusory mountain images that solidified above his head. A few breaths later, he retracted his fist and stood still, the fierce winds around him solidifying without dispersing, lingering afterimages of fist intent still swirling. Then he exhaled a murky breath. Finally, I have mastered the 5 mountains' true form fist, he declared. At this moment, he raised his head, seeing that the sky had already darkened. He had cultivated from morning till now exactly 4 hours, or roughly 8 hours. He marveled inwardly. The system truly did not deceive me. Indeed, I reached initial mastery in a single day. Just as he was about to test the might of the 5 mountains' true form fist, a sudden overwhelming sense of hunger swept over his entire body, causing him to frown helplessly. He had cultivated for too long, almost forgetting that he hadn't eaten anything for 2 days. Since the day he discovered the entire sect had vanished, he had lived under the constant threat of apocalypse, spurred on by the system. After leaving the scripture pavilion, he had slept for a day and a night. Now, having brought the 5 mountains' true form fist to initial mastery today, it had been a full 3 days without a single drop of water or food. His ability to persist without starving to death was due to his body having already cultivated to the body-tempering realm. Then I swiftly cast aside those thoughts, deciding to first partake of a meal and then rest profoundly. Perusing the ancient texts, I learned that only by cultivating to the Violet Palace realm and beyond could one achieve an Idia. Conversely, the 3 realms of body refinement, soul tempering, and divine perception required copious amounts of spirit rice. Spirit spring water and the flesh of demonic beasts were essential to replenish one's physical strength. Thereupon, I immediately boarded a flying skiff and headed straight for Myriad Beast Peak. As Tai Tai followed close behind, I cradled it in one arm, bringing it with me to the Myriad Beast Peak dining hall. Myriad Beast Peak boasted the finest cuisine within the sect, for this very peak nurtured countless demonic beasts. Those with docile temperaments were tamed as mounts, while those with ferocious dispositions served as trials and challenges for the disciples. Thus a great many demonic beasts perished on Myriad Beast Peak each day. The flesh and blood of these fallen beasts would then be transformed into exquisite delicacies. Therefore, the beast meat from Myriad Beast Peak was of the highest quality among all peaks, occasionally even featuring the flesh and blood of supreme demonic beasts. At this moment, I arrived at the high-grade formation kitchen, where the price of each dish ascended into the thousands of contribution points. 3 exquisite dishes crafted from the flesh and blood of a 7-star divine perception demonic beast even surpassed 10,000 contribution points. At such a consumption rate among the 100,000 disciples of the Xuan sect, only a few hundred could truly indulge. In the past, as an outer sect reserve disciple, I could only partake of a meager portion of spirit rice porridge at the outer peak dining hall, at most being granted a few scraps of low-grade beast meat. Now that the entire sect seemed to have vanished into the void, I naturally could not mistreat myself. If I was to eat, I would partake only of the very best. With this thought, I placed my disciple token directly onto the formation eye-stone tablet and began furiously ordering dishes. In short order, I had spent a staggering 130,000 contribution points, and the high-grade formation immediately activated. Half an hour later, 16 exquisite dishes and a large bowl of spirit rice were laid before me. Famished beyond measure, I immediately began to feast. Under the effects of the digestion technique from the limitless Tao scripture, the essence of every morsel of beast meat was fully absorbed. In that instant, I felt my cultivation within my body surge dramatically. Just as I was devouring my meal, the other disciples trapped within the sect also began to feel the pangs of hunger. One individual loudly cried out, "I can't endure this any longer. Whoever possesses food, I am willing to offer 100 contribution points for it." Few responded, for when they had previously entered the Grand Unity Void Realm for enlightenment, it was only meant to be a single day's journey. Thus no one had intentionally prepared provisions. Even if some happened to have food incidentally stored within their spatial rings, none were foolish enough to reveal it for trade at such a precarious moment. The lower-ranking elders of the various peaks, upon discovering this dire situation, immediately reported it. The news swiftly reached the Sect Master. It was then that the Sect Master finally recalled the matter of the disciples' sustenance. Having long since entered Anidia himself, he had unconsciously overlooked this seemingly minor detail. Then, the Sect Master spoke, "Senior brother, whoever possesses surplus food within their spatial ring, distribute it among the disciples." Simultaneously, streaks of flowing light erupted from the spatial ring on his finger, transforming into various types of food that materialized in midair. Seeing this, the other elders likewise retrieved their reserved provisions. Though they too had long entered Anidia, having cultivated for thousands of years, they had accumulated no small amount of miscellaneous provisions within their spatial rings, and thus could still produce food. Among them, the contribution from Myriad Beast Peak Master Tong Chen was the most substantial. The spirit rice and beast meat he alone produced exceeded the combined efforts of all the other elders, enough in fact to sustain the disciples for several years. Yet no one was surprised. After all, Tong Chen's reputation for gluttony was famed throughout the central continent, and he was the only senior brother of his generation who had not yet entered Anidia. Shangguan Kun gazed at the various foods floating in mid-air, remarking, "Junior brother Tong, you truly never disappoint." Hearing this, Tong Chen, with his corpulent yet amiable figure, chuckled. "Being able to eat is a blessing. See, isn't this proving useful now?" The Sect Master also nodded in solemn agreement. This time, if not for junior brother Tong, our combined provisions would not have been enough to distribute among the disciples. Now, we can finally set our minds at ease. Even if we are trapped within the Grand Unity Void Realm for 3 years, we will not allow our disciples to go hungry. As his words fell, the moods of the other elders grew somber. 3 days had passed, yet there was still no sign of the Grand Elder. It seemed that a grave problem had truly befallen the Grand Unity Void Realm. If they were indeed trapped for 3 to 5 years, the consequences would be unimaginable. The Sect Master secretly sighed. It seemed they still had to exhaust all means to contact Shi Qi. If we can use him to locate the reserve secret passage, our escape from this predicament would be far simpler. He then glanced towards our protagonist, noting that he had nearly finished his meal, yet still seemed to yearn for more. After washing his hands, he strolled around the dining hall, seemingly searching for anything else worth eating. Zuo Qimo had temporarily ceased controlling the little Xianxia, allowing it to rest within Shi Qi's robes. He then spoke up, a hint of curiosity in his voice. "Why is junior martial brother Shi's appetite so immense? Is he still not full after 16 dishes?" Upon hearing this, Shu Wushun replied, "Perhaps it is due to the cultivation technique he practices. After all, that Wuji Dao Cannon is a divine technique, forged from 37 sets of supreme heaven-tier cultivation techniques. The more advanced the cultivation technique, the greater the energy consumption during cultivation." Dong Chen also elaborated further, "Indeed, Shi Qi has not eaten for 3 days, and has rigorously trained the Five Peaks True Form Fist for an entire day. His body is utterly depleted. It's likely that even what he has consumed hasn't been fully digested, thus his insatiable hunger." But before he could finish his words, his gaze, which had been following our protagonist, suddenly froze. He then cried out in alarm, "No, this won't do. He's heading straight for my storeroom. I have a supreme grade Yunming Li carp there, one I haven't even had the chance to prepare. By all means, he must not discover it." As our protagonist continued his search for sustenance, he could distinctly feel his cultivation realm surging. He was even vaguely touching the threshold of a breakthrough, nearing the body-tempering second layer. Yet he deliberately suppressed this imminent breakthrough. For in the body-tempering realm, one's physical body and spiritual energy must naturally cultivate to an undefined limit. Only upon reaching this peak and then breaking through would the physical body be truly fortified. Thus, before reaching this limit, cultivators should prioritize tempering the strength of their physical body rather than hastily cultivating. A rough estimate suggested that his single-arm strength had already exceeded 20,000 caddies. Were he to partake in but one more meal, he would undoubtedly reach the absolute limit for a realm breakthrough. Thus, his next step required consuming the flesh and blood of a supreme-grade demonic beast. Only by leveraging the might of the Wuji Dao Cannon to convert its essence into pure physical strength could he achieve a breakthrough to the body-tempering second layer. Such calculations were swiftly made within his mind. A clear mechanical voice suddenly echoed in his mind. Ding, detecting host's intense desire for high-quality food, activating supplementary guidance quest, complete one cooking and consumption of a high-grade demonic beast flesh dish, perfectly prepared with full color, aroma, and taste. Upon completion, receive a purple tier reward item, Flesh Realm Catalyst. Upon consuming demonic beast flesh and blood, the efficacy of the body-tempering digestion technique will be amplified threefold. Upon hearing this, our protagonist furrowed his brow. A reward item unexpectedly. It sounds rather promising, yet the task itself will be far from easy. The main challenge lies in locating truly high-grade demonic beast flesh and blood, a feat not easily accomplished. For the standard to judge a high-grade demonic beast is its bloodline, not its cultivation strength. The higher the bloodline, the greater the potential. The essence within its very flesh and bones would also be far more concentrated. The demonic beast meat he had just consumed had only barely escaped the ordinary, certainly not reaching the high-grade standard he now sought. Lost in thought, he found himself almost unconsciously standing before the dining hall's storeroom. He pushed open the door and stepped inside, immediately greeted by a spacious, brightly lit chamber where goods were meticulously arranged. Various types of demonic beast flesh and blood were meticulously stored beneath different small formations, categorized by their inherent attributes. His gaze swept across the entire chamber. High above, nestled at the very top of the storeroom, he quickly spotted a shimmering pool of cold water, suspended miraculously in midair. Within it, a magnificent large white fish gracefully swam. He immediately asked the system in his mind, "Does this fish meet the standard for a high-grade demonic beast?" The system immediately replied, "Yes, it conforms. This is a Yunmeng Li possessing a 7th-tier demonic beast bloodline." Upon hearing these words, our protagonist's heart swelled with quiet delight. Once a demonic beast's bloodline reaches the 9th tier, it can be called a divine beast. With a 7th-tier bloodline, this fish was assuredly no ordinary creature. It was even possible it hadn't been raised by the myriad beast's peak at all. Ever since his initial entry into the sect, our protagonist had overheard whispers and gossip within the dining hall, tales that depicted the peak master of Myriad Beast Peak as a truly extraordinary and eccentric individual. He was large and corpulent, with a great fondness for food and drink, a peak master and elder of such formidable strength. Throughout the entire Tai True sect, none dared to cross him. But in the present, extraordinary situation, with all other sect members inexplicably vanished, our protagonist harbored no reservations. He strode directly towards the magnificent fish. He discovered that although this fish was still alive, it had undergone special processing. He effortlessly took hold of it. But the very instant he secured the Yunmeng Li, Dongchen let out a despairing cry, "My fish! If only I had known, I would have consumed it myself long ago." Truly, hesitation breeds only failure. Decisive action is the path to satisfaction. Witnessing this spectacle, Xu Wuxuan, standing nearby, found himself unable to suppress a chuckle. The Yunmeng Li, even among level 7 demonic beasts, was considered a top-tier specimen. Its flesh was incredibly fragrant and sweet, with every inch of its vital essence containing a vast amount of the essence of heaven and earth. For cultivators below the Nirvana realm, it offered immense benefits. Indeed, it was a cruel jest of creation. Little did anyone expect that the Yunmeng Li fish, painstakingly acquired by senior brother Dong, would be eaten by Shi Qi before he himself had even tasted it. At the same time, many peak masters and elders helplessly rubbed their temples in exasperation. Lu Dao patted Dongchen on the shoulder, saying, "Junior brother, it's just a fish. You can always catch another one later." Hearing this, Dongchen angrily retorted, "Senior brother, it's easy for you to say. That Yunmeng Li fish is extinct throughout the Central Plains. Only the reincarnation old demon of the Six Paths sect managed to raise a pair. To obtain this single fish, I not only exchanged a vast amount of true treasures, but I also had to agree to spar with him for 3 days and 3 nights. I almost died of exhaustion on that Six Paths mountain. Do you think it was easy for me?" Upon hearing these grievances, a wave of sympathy arose in everyone's hearts. The reason was that the reincarnation old demon of the Six Paths sect was an infamous fiend throughout the Central Plains. He reveled in bullying the weak and killing others to seize their treasures. Even cultivators of the same realm would be forcibly challenged by him, and he would never let them off lightly. Afterward, the Sect Master looked at Dong Chen with concern, saying, "Junior brother Dong, do not risk your life like that again. That reincarnation old demon has an eccentric temperament. What would we do if any unforeseen incident occurred during your duel?" Hearing this, Dong Chen let out a cold laugh. "Sect Master, senior brother, you worry too much. That mere reincarnation old demon, even if I cannot defeat him, he wouldn't dare injure me. Moreover, as long as our senior sister lives, their Six Path sect is destined to be inferior." Having said this, Dongchen confidently looked towards Yu Xiao. The renown of the Tai hidden sword resonated throughout the world. This was all because of our senior sister, who 500 years ago once clashed with a heavenly venerable of the same realm. In a single exchange, she utterly obliterated the opponent's Tao heart and divine soul. Hearing Dongchen's boastful words, Yu Xiao merely smiled gently. Then she pointed at the scene inside the dining hall below and said, "Junior brother, your Yunmeng Li fish seems to be dead." Hearing this, Dongchen's expression changed dramatically. He saw me carrying a large fish as tall as myself entering the dining hall's kitchen. Since I didn't know how to control the formation arrays, I could only cook the fish myself. I then threw the Yunmeng Li onto the ground. Seeing its body still thrashing continuously, I delivered a single punch. The fish's eyes, initially filled with fury, instantly cleared up. The system's requirement was to consume a meal of high-grade demonic beast meat, rich in color, aroma, and flavor. I pondered for a moment, then decided the main dish would be grilled fish. Immediately afterward, in the kitchen, I used a cleaver to chop the Yunmeng Li into 2 halves, then flattened it. At the same time, Dongchen, hearing that I intended to grill the fish, immediately leaped up in anger. What a squandering of heaven's bounty! The Yunmeng Li's flesh is fresh, tender, sweet, and soft. It's best suited for steaming or perhaps braising. How could you possibly grill it? Many peak masters and elders around jointly urged him, "Junior brother Dong, calm down. What's done is done." This fish was fated to end up in Shi Qi's belly. How he chooses to eat it is his business. After all, as long as the energy within this demonic beast's flesh and blood can be absorbed and refined, that's all that matters. What difference does it make if it's steamed or grilled? Hearing this, Dongchen gritted his teeth and shook his head. How can it not be different? The most fundamental essence of life is eating and drinking, and how one eats is a profound branch of learning. In this world, among the 3,000 great Tao, the Tao of cuisine ranks supreme. It can absolutely never be treated casually. Hearing these words, everyone suddenly remembered that when Dongchen had attained enlightenment, what he comprehended was precisely the great Tao of cuisine. But the problem was, at that moment I was cooking the Yunmeng Li for 2 reasons. First, to quell my hunger, and second, to absorb its essence for cultivation. I had absolutely no intention of comprehending any Tao, so naturally I would eat it however I pleased. Just then, a core disciple suddenly spoke up curiously. "What is Shi Qi doing? Is he marinating the fish? That method is truly unique." The other elders also looked down, only to see me finding a very large basin. Into it, I successively poured in salt, yellow wine, onions, ginger, and various other seasonings. Finally, I placed the fish, which had been artfully scored with flower-like cuts, into the basin. Shangguan Kun looked curiously at Dongchen. "Disciple Tong, is this truly how grilled fish should be prepared?" Dongchen too furrowed his brow. Is he truly removing the fishy odor? Witnessing this, the other elders realized that Shi Qi's method of preparing fish was indeed extraordinary. They had long been in secluded cultivation. Even in their lower cultivation realms, they had private chefs to prepare their meals, leaving them unskilled in culinary arts. Yet within their memories, even the senior masters of the various halls seemed to omit this particular step when grilling food. The reason behind this predicament was, in truth, quite simple. In this Xuanhuan world, cultivation was the sole paramount path. Powerful cultivators could seclude themselves for 1,000 years. This naturally led to their life skills being vastly inferior to those of common mortals. For them, grilling typically involved nothing more than placing food over a fire and sprinkling a few seasonings once cooked. Even a connoisseur like Tong Chen possessed no unique culinary secrets. Thus, witnessing Shi Qi's meticulous preparation of the fish, they were immediately captivated. Even as he merely displayed a fraction of his culinary talent, drawing the gaze of the venerable elders, the protagonist was diligently unearthing fine charcoal from the storage in the back mountain. Once the marinated fish was nearly grilled, he added potatoes, cucumbers, and various other vegetables to a large flat-bottomed pan. He then drizzled a base sauce, stir-fried with an array of spices, over them. After toiling for more than an hour, the exquisitely fragrant grilled fish was finally ready. Witnessing him create such an unprecedented feast of grilled fish, the entire sect was driven wild with desire. Murmurs and clamor erupted amongst the inner and outer sect disciples. "Disciple Shi possesses such culinary skill," one exclaimed. "That piece of fish looks utterly tempting. I never imagined a rank 7 cloud dream carp spirit beast could be prepared in such a manner. I can't bear it any longer." Another cried, "Whoever possesses charcoal and fish in their spatial ring, I am willing to trade a mid-grade imperial tier divine ability for it." Even many high-ranking sect members in secluded cultivations struggled to suppress the craving burgeoning within their hearts. Dongchen yearned to immediately shatter the rift in his barrier, to sneak out and partake in a hearty meal with the protagonist. He then let out a mournful sigh. What was I even thinking? Braised dishes are truly inferior. Only grilled dishes hold true value. This Shi Qi's culinary skills are utterly superior to mine. There is no greater agony in this world than to have such delectable food right before one's eyes, yet be unable to partake. Hearing his lament, many elders did not mock him, for they too were drooling with palpable desire. And as the protagonist began to move his chopsticks, many disciples wailed in despair. Even the supervising elders in secluded cultivation forced themselves to avert their gazes from the scene. As time slowly passed, the grilled fish was finally consumed down to its last morsel. At this moment, Shui suddenly cried out in alarm, "Quickly, behold Shi Qi! Spiritual energy is now inundating his very crown. Immortal light bursts from him. His speed of refinement cannot keep pace with his speed of consumption." No sooner had these words left his lips than the elders collectively looked down, only to behold the protagonist, his entire body bathed in a crimson glow, his skin sizzling as hot steam emanated from him, as if enveloped in a shimmering mist. They knew this was a clear manifestation of having absorbed an excessive amount of energy. Dongchen had originally intended to use this fish to entertain the Saint Son and Saint Daughter, for its portion was ample enough for 3 or 4 individuals. Yet now it had all vanished into the protagonist's mouth alone. Thus, even with his limitless Tao scripture, a peak-tier divine art, the protagonist found himself struggling to fully digest it all. It was then that the protagonist, too, realized this predicament. Suppressing the intense heat surging within him, the protagonist devoured the remaining fish meat and immediately rushed towards the training grounds of Wanshou Peak. According to the body refining method described in the limitless Tao scripture, he had to cultivate and transform this surplus energy into pure strength. Thus, upon reaching the training grounds, he first furiously practiced the 5 mountains true form fist, then seized stone weights, stone locks, and other various pieces of equipment to train with all his might. Following a deep resonant thud that emanated from his tendons and bones, the power and spiritual energy within his body reached an extreme state of resonance. An invisible barrier seemed to shatter, the hot steam radiating from his body completely vanished, and the crimson glow on his skin returned to its normal hue. He then clenched his fists. Finally, I have achieved a breakthrough. After consuming the flesh and blood of a rank 7 spirit beast, not only was his physical body greatly refined, but his cultivation realm also advanced to the 2nd stage of body refinement. More remarkably, after shattering that bottleneck, he could sense a mysterious amplification effect coursing through him. Calming his mind, he immediately sought out a 30,000 jin stone weight, and to his astonishment found he could effortlessly lift it with a single hand. He then gradually increased the weight, measuring his single-handed limit to have reached 33,000 jin. At this moment, a system notification resounded within his mind. Congratulations, host, for completing the guiding mission. You have been granted a purple keyword talent as your reward. The efficacy of the fleshly body was extraordinary, yet I paid no mind to the system's notification within my mind. Immersed in the euphoria of my breakthrough, I felt my entire body tremble, my sinews and bones stretching with an unparalleled sensation of exhilaration. Soon after, an overwhelming wave of drowsiness washed over me. I simply collapsed onto the training grounds. Before long, rhythmic snores echoed across the tranquil mountaintop. Meanwhile, it was observed that despite being merely at the 2nd layer of the body tempering stage, my single-hand strength had already reached 33,000 jin. Numerous peak masters and elders were utterly astounded. Elder Shu Wanyi, his face alight with joy, declared, "This Shi Qi's foundation is exceptionally solid. Should he later achieve breakthroughs at critical layers of the body tempering stage, further undergoing 3 enhancements, his future accomplishment shall be truly unfathomable." Yet amidst this jubilation, a new predicament emerged. How then should Shi Qi continue his cultivation? His acquisition of the Yun Mengli this time was a stroke of pure fortune. Henceforth, he must seek out other body tempering techniques. But without a powerful background and with limited knowledge, how could he possibly discover so many auxiliary cultivation methods? If left to fumble on his own, this exceptional start might well be squandered. The Sect Master let out a sigh, then cast a profound gaze towards Junior Martial Brother Zuo. "We must still swiftly establish contact with him," he murmured. "Junior Martial Brother Zuo," the Sect Master intoned. Junior Martial Brother Zuo replied with a pained expression. "Senior brother, I am doing my utmost, but Xianxia is after all a training puppet that was once crippled. It still requires a bit more time." The once crippled Xianxia was their collective hope. Thus, Junior Martial Brother Zuo, seizing the opportunity while Shi Qi cultivated, had been secretly urging his divine sense, striving to control and upgrade Xianxia. After a night of profound sleep, my flesh, blood, sinews, and bones had largely recovered. My state returned to its peak condition. At this point, I visited the refectory for a simple meal, before heading to Lifeng Valley located at the foot of Myriad Beasts Peak. At the valley's entrance, I observed the inscription on a stone tablet, Lifeng Valley. The most powerful demonic beasts within do not surpass the body-tempering realm. However, numerous potent high-bloodline demonic beasts gather in the latter half of the valley. Those who enter should proceed with caution and accurately assess their own strength. This was a training ground specially designated by the sect for disciples of the body-tempering stage. Without hesitation, I stepped inside. Before I could even appreciate the scenic beauty, the system's voice once again resounded in my mind. System notification. Host has been detected entering Lifeng Valley. A supplementary guiding mission has been activated. Successfully eliminate 1 demonic beast to receive the yellow keyword reward, Profound Combat Heart. This allows for continuous enhancement of combat wisdom through relentless battles. Upon hearing this, I raised an eyebrow. Another yellow keyword reward? This sounds exceedingly beneficial. Furthermore, battling demonic beasts was precisely my intention for coming here. This could truly be considered killing 2 birds with 1 stone. As I silently reveled in this thought, I failed to notice a massive emerald green serpent suddenly lunging forth from the shadows of the roadside trees. Yet, even without visually registering the immense serpent, the very instant it struck, my body instinctively arched backward. As I swayed away, the emerald green serpent crashed into a massive boulder. With a resounding crack, the seemingly impenetrable rock shattered into countless fragments. Witnessing this, I immediately adopted a stance, preparing to unleash my fist techniques. Audacious beast, face the might of my fist. Concurrently, the atmosphere within the sect's observation array was absolutely fervent. Both inner and outer sect disciples watched with rapt attention. A few elite true disciples instantly recognized the origin of the massive emerald green serpent, exclaiming, "Our junior brother Shi certainly knows how to pick a challenge." Myriad Beast Peak boasts 3 hunting grounds suitable for body-tempering stage disciples to train, yet the demonic beasts of Lifeng Valley are known to be the most ferocious. Indeed, this iron-tailed green serpent possesses a third-grade bloodline. Its attack power rivals the full-force strike of a 5th-layer body-tempering cultivator. The iron-tailed green serpent not only excels in combat but also possesses remarkable stealth abilities. I recall encountering it at the valley entrance 9 years ago when I first joined the sect. To think it still lives after all these years. To survive for 9 years within Lifeng Valley, this serpent is truly no ordinary beast. And even as tens of thousands of disciples buzzed with discussion, I unleashed a single punch aimed directly at the colossal serpent's head. Under the combined might of my full strength and a heaven-grade, high-rank fist technique, this single blow unleashed a formidable power far surpassing the 33,000 jin of force I previously commanded with one hand. The iron-tailed green serpent had no opportunity to retaliate. It was instantly annihilated by my strike. Witnessing this spectacle, a thunderous uproar erupted throughout the Tai True sect, with countless disciples staring in utter disbelief. A demonic beast comparable to a 5th-layer body-tempering cultivator, possessing a 3rd-grade bloodline, just died, just like that. Shi Qi is merely at the 2nd layer of body tempering. He is truly too formidable. Indeed, he is worthy of being called a once-in-a-million-year genius. However, it must be said, why did that iron-tailed green serpent remain utterly motionless when Shi Qi launched his attack? Do you not even observe the nature of the fist technique being unleashed? Even demonic beasts would be intimidated by it. Junior disciple, do you typically heed the elder's teachings? Once a high-grade martial technique is successfully cultivated, it generates a terrifying aura. This imposing presence exerts a potent suppressive force upon all weaker beings. Precisely. What Shi Qi cultivates is none other than our sect's supreme martial art, the heaven-grade, top-tier 5 Peaks True Form Fist, which he has already cultivated to the minor accomplishment stage. Thus, with this single punch, its potent aura far surpassed anything we could have imagined. At this moment, Xu Wei nodded with a satisfied expression. For his very first practical combat, such a display was already commendable. One must understand that possessing exceptional cultivation talent does not automatically guarantee prowess in actual combat. Insufficient combat intelligence necessitates extensive practical combat experience to compensate. Shi Qi's ability to slay the iron-tailed green serpent with a single punch marked the crucial first step in fostering his invincible resolve for the future. However, his attack was somewhat overly fierce, leaving no room for retreat. Yet, its impact was not significant, and he could be gradually guided in the future. He pondered this silently, then once again cast his gaze downwards. At this moment, having vanquished the demonic beast, the system's reward duly arrived. Congratulations, host, for completing the guidance mission. You have received the golden keyword talent, Profound Combat Heart. Yet I felt little immediate sensation. Such a keyword seemed overly abstruse. I feared its true power would only manifest in the crucible of actual combat. Though slaying a demonic beast for the first time felt somewhat unfamiliar, I swiftly adjusted my state and pressed deeper into Lifeng Valley. Through this arduous tempering, the Profound Combat Heart began to unleash its efficacy. My proficiency in combat grew with each passing moment. By now, I had arrived at the heart of the valley, where a vast river cleaved Lifeng Valley into 2 distinct halves, the front and the rear. Within the front half of Lifeng Valley, the most formidable demonic beast I had encountered possessed only a 3rd-tier bloodline, comparable to a cultivator at the 6th level of the body-tempering realm. Though I had yet to set foot in the rear half of Lifeng Valley, I keenly perceived that the peril within the valley had intensified. And this was precisely to my liking, for be it the application of the Profound Combat Heart talent or the cultivation of the limitless Tao scripture, combat was an utterly indispensable element. Pondering this, I leaped across the river, venturing into the rear half of Lifeng Valley. Witnessing my actions, many disciples within the secret realm above furrowed their brows in astonishment. Is Shi Qi perhaps becoming overly conceited? Though he cultivates a peerless divine art such as the limitless Tao scripture, he is, at his core, merely a mortal body. How dares he now venture into the rear half of Lifeng Valley? Surely he must be oblivious to the vast disparity in power among demonic beasts, stemming from the strength or weakness of their bloodlines. Indeed, a valid point. Having just slayed a 3rd-tier demonic beast comparable to a cultivator at the 6th level of body tempering, Shi Qi's confidence had undoubtedly surged, leading him to believe the rear half of Lifeng Valley held no significant perils. If so, he shall undoubtedly pay a steep price. And at this moment, I strode directly down the expansive central path. I could sense a multitude of powerful auras concealed along this path, growing ever stronger the deeper I ventured. Within my heart, excitement gradually surged, and without further concealment, I unleashed my own formidable aura. In the eyes of the demonic beasts, my actions were nothing short of a blatant provocation. I had not journeyed far when a massive grizzled bear stepped forth from the dense foliage. Its fur was long and matted, and its formidable claws glowed with a malevolent crimson light. Among the disciples of the Tai True sect, some immediately recognized its formidable origins. This was a 4th-tier bloodline demonic beast, a Fireclaw bear. This bear possessed an incredibly potent defense, and its pair of colossal claws could inflict devastating damage. It seemed Shi Qi's initial confrontation upon entering the rear half of the valley was met with ill fortune. Perhaps other demonic beasts wouldn't even need to intervene. The Fireclaw Bear alone would be more than enough for Shi Qi to grasp the true, formidable might of Lifeng Valley. Surely by then he would abandon his audacious intentions and retreat. As these thoughts filled their minds, sudden cries of alarm erupted from the outer sect observation area. As it turned out, the battle below had already erupted. I witnessed the Fireclaw Bear spearheading its charge directly towards me. I immediately retreated, skillfully evading its overwhelming attack, then deliberately uttered a provocative challenge. Little bear, where is your martial virtue? Though demonic beasts comprehend no human tongue, it instinctively understood that I held it in utter contempt. It then lunged towards me, its massive claws wreathed in scorching wind pressure, continuously slashing and tearing. Augmented by the profound combat heart, I relied solely on subtle shifts of my upper body to flawlessly evade every single one of its relentless attacks. This spectacle left all who bore witness utterly dumbfounded. The Peak Master of Legacy Peak spoke with agitation. This was not merely a movement technique, but a combat skill that Shi Qi continuously refined and elevated amidst battle. Yu Xiao also nodded in agreement. Precisely so. Even in the preceding battles when Shi Qi engaged in combat, his capacity for learning and observation proved unbelievably formidable. I have never witnessed anyone possessing combat talent comparable to his. No sooner had these words fallen than the numerous disciples were overcome with astonishment. Other elders, too, offered their congratulations in unison. Congratulations, Sect Master, our sect has gained yet another Kirin child, a true prodigy. The future achievements of junior brother Shi are simply immeasurable. Even the resurgence of Sect Master Song's glory from yesteryear would not be an impossibility. Upon hearing this, the Sect Master was about to utter a few more stirring words when suddenly he heard cries of alarm from the surrounding disciples. Shi Qi had encountered yet another demonic beast. Following this, he lowered his gaze, and indeed the scene of battle below had begun anew. It turned out that after winning a battle, he did not depart. Very quickly, he encountered another powerful foe. This demonic beast was even stronger than the Fireclawed Bear from before, yet after only a few exchanges, he swiftly dispatched it. Witnessing this spectacle, many elders nodded in satisfied praise. When Shi Qi had slain the Fireclawed Bear, he had truly only needed one move. It was nothing short of an instant kill. His continued advance was therefore only natural. Though this new demonic beast could contend with him for a short while, Shi Qi clearly still had ample strength. It is feared he will continue to press onward, exploring further. Indeed, Shi Qi pressed onward once more. Let me see, this time he faces a 5th stage bloodline demonic beast. Truly exceptional, but will there be no danger? It appears Shi Qi will not give up until he has slain it. 50 exchanges have passed. Though Shi Qi's body bore injuries, the situation had shifted from a disadvantage to a clear advantage. This combat talent is simply too formidable. He has slain the 5th stage bloodline demonic beast, vanquishing it after 80 exchanges. The 5 Peaks True Form Fist, having only reached minor accomplishment, already possesses such might. Truly it lives up to its reputation as our sect's foremost martial technique. Surely this time Shi Qi will return to cultivate, will he not? Why is he still moving forward? He has already entered the territory of 5th stage bloodline demonic beasts. This is far too perilous. Should he encounter 2 such beasts acting in concert, his life might very well be in mortal danger. Confound it, we worry in vain here. But whatever we say, he cannot hear us. At this moment, though my entire body was drenched in blood, my spirit remained incredibly vibrant. For these bloodstains, mostly from the demonic beasts, were a testament to what I, a mere mortal body, was able to accomplish. I was able to accomplish this feat. All of it was thanks to the body-tempering slaughter art within the limitless Dao canon. This art allowed me to simultaneously enhance my practical combat experience and the intensity of my physical body through battle. Combined with the profound combat heart, it made every effort yield tremendous results. Through a continuous path of battle, both my vital energy and the robustness of my physical body significantly increased. Though I have yet to test it, I can feel that my own power has undeniably ascended not just 1 or 2 levels. Because all the demonic beasts I slew were of high grade, the effectiveness of my cultivation technique grew increasingly proficient during combat. This was also the reason I fought with ever-increasing fervor. As for those within the Tai True sect, unaware of the hidden mysteries, they only felt an immense shock. Why is junior brother Shi so valiant? From the entrance of Lifeng Valley, he slaughtered his way deep into its latter half. This is truly too terrifying. Even Sect Master Song in his prime only reached this point. I fear it is not merely that. After all, Sect Master Song possessed the peerless hegemon body, inherently advantaged in body tempering and close combat, whereas our junior brother Shi is merely a mortal body. Indeed, for a mere mortal body to stand equal with an overlord's physique, it was simply inconceivable. Only the Saint Sun remained silent, an indescribable sense of defeat gnawing at his heart. While the other elders were consumed by excitement, Elder Dongchen's expression remained grim. He gazed at the figure steadily approaching the finish line, a nascent warning trembling on his lips. The Sect Master, sensing the unusual atmosphere, turned to Elder Dongchen with a look of concern. Junior brother Dong, he inquired, what troubles you? Dongchen appeared as though he had committed some grave transgression. Sect Master's senior brother, there is a matter I hesitate to disclose. Amidst his joyous mood, the Sect Master merely offered a magnanimous smile. We have been sworn brothers for thousands of years. Speak freely. How could I possibly fault you? The other elders, too, joined in the hearty laughter. Junior brother Dong, today the sect welcomes another peerless heavenly talent. This is a momentous occasion. Even if you were to cause a disaster as vast as the heavens, the sect would still stand by you. Witnessing such earnest assurances from the elders, Dongchen was profoundly moved. No longer able to conceal his burden, he finally spoke. It's nothing too serious, truly. It's merely that this peerless heavenly talent of our Tai Shi true sect might soon be dead. As his words hung in the air, the joyous laughter that filled the hall abruptly ceased. The sect master's countenance darkened. Junior brother Dong, what blasphemous words are these? How could you utter such a curse upon a junior disciple? Dongchen immediately protested, his voice laced with indignation. Sect master senior brother, how could I ever be such a person? The reason for my words is because in the back mountains of Lifeng Valley I have been raising an archaic striped king. Upon hearing this, the sect master's astonishment was beyond belief. What did you say? You raised an archaic striped king? Why was I never informed? Dongchen forced a strained smile. This was a fortuitous encounter I stumbled upon during my last journey to Nanjianwantu within a den of countless great demons. Originally, I had intended to secretly tame it, to present it as a wondrous surprise for the sect, but alas, unforeseen circumstances have rendered my plans obsolete. Dongchen's voice dwindled to a murmur. Who could have imagined that the seemingly honest and guileless elder Dongchen harbored such a secret, raising an archaic abomination within the very heart of the sect? The peak master of the cultivation transmission peak, Xu Yao, could no longer contain his fury. Junior brother Dong, a matter of such monumental importance, why did you keep it from the sect? The archaic striped king is a demonic beast of an 8th rank bloodline, merely a single step away from evolving into a transcendent divine beast. A fully matured archaic striped king can cultivate to a level of power rivaling even a human race saint king. And you dare to raise such a vicious beast within Lifeng Valley. Your audacity knows no bounds. Yu Xiao, with a furrowed brow, interjected, Junior brother Dong, what precisely is the current strength of this archaic striped king? Dongchen swiftly clasped his hands and bowed his head. It is still but a cub, yet a single strike from its paw commands the terrifying force of 1,000,000 jin. Moreover, archaic abominations all possess formidable innate natal divine abilities. I surmise that any human cultivator wishing to best it would require at least peak soul-refining realm cultivation, coupled with divine abilities of Earth tier or higher. Even then, it would take several days of exhausting struggle to finally overcome it. As for close quarters combat, forgive my frankness, but engaging an archaic abomination in melee is exceedingly perilous. I cannot fathom any cultivator choosing such a path. If hypothetically one were to attempt it, they would undoubtedly need to be armed with divine artifacts and talismans, and possess at least the cultivation of the 7th stage of the divine severing realm to even stand a chance. No sooner had he finished speaking than the hearts of all the elders plummeted. This vicious beast was absolutely not something Shi Qi could possibly contend with. Their urgent conversation quickly reached the ears of the nearby core disciples, and in a flash spread like wildfire throughout the entire Tai True sect. In an instant, everyone present was dumbfounded. Elder Dong actually raised an archaic striped king on Myriad Beast Peak? I always believed the archaic striped kings had long gone extinct. This archaic striped king is in such close proximity to Shi Qi. Doesn't that mean he is in grave peril? Senior brother Shi Qi, halt your advance. Meanwhile, I, the very individual who had become the object of their collective apprehension, after a brief respite, suddenly turned my gaze deep into the valley. In that fleeting moment, I distinctly heard the low guttural growl of a savage beast. The sound, though not overtly loud, sent a shiver down my spine. Then I concealed my aura, cautiously treading along a winding path. Half an hour later, I leaped onto an ancient tree, discovering a colossal tiger-like demonic beast at the end of the valley. It lay sprawled, gnawing on the corpse of another demonic beast. As if sensing my presence, it raised its head and looked back. My heart trembled. This beast was truly powerful. Such a ferocious aura, I was certainly no match for it in my current state. Just as I was observing, the system's prompt suddenly echoed in my mind. Beep host has encountered an 8th rank primordial striped king demonic beast. Activating main quest, World of the Strong. Host is requested to either slay or subdue it within 50 days. Success will grant 3 lottery draws. From these draws, one may acquire innate talents, divine weapons, divine cultivation techniques, and other supreme treasures. Hearing this, I was stunned. This system truly had its ways. 50 days of cultivation was not extensive, but it was not overly rushed either. However, my current strength was still far from being a match for this demonic beast. I would at least need to reach the peak of the body-tempering realm. Thereafter, to elevate myself, I immersed myself daily in Lifeng Valley, pushing my slaughter body-tempering technique to its limits. Outside the territory of the primordial striped king, I swept through all other areas of the valley. Seeing my diligent and cautious demeanor, the other elders were completely at ease. Each marveled that I was truly worthy of being a son of heaven's chosen. Before long, it was the 3rd day after I left the valley. I was currently practicing my martial arts on the training grounds. Feeling a surge of powerful amplification descend upon me, I knew I had achieved a breakthrough to the 3rd layer of body tempering. I then picked up progressively larger rocks from the ground to test my strength. I finally confirmed my strength at the 3rd layer of body tempering. My single arm might have reached 108,000 jin. Seeing this, my heart swelled with joy. Possessing such divine power, if I were to transmigrate back to the modern era, I would undoubtedly be hailed as a superhuman. Just as I was marveling at my progress, I suddenly heard the rustling sound of scrap metal beside me. It was none other than little Xianxia, the scrap metal hoarder. Clutched in its four paws, a book floated just above the ground towards me. I retrieved the book from beneath it and flipped through a few pages, discovering it was a manual detailing considerations for body tempering cultivation. It stated that when a body tempering cultivator reaches a critical stage, the intensity of their physical body would multiply. Cultivating this realm does not seek swiftness, but rather demands that before each breakthrough, one must temper their physical body to its utmost limits to lay a solid foundation. Ordinary cultivators only need to strive their hardest. However, Heaven's chosen talents must seize 3 opportunities for exponential increase to elevate their overall potential. I read aloud in astonishment the contents within the book. Body tempering 3rd layer, strength surpasses 80,000 jin. Body tempering 6th layer, strength surpasses 400,000 jin. Body tempering 9th layer, strength surpasses 1,600,000 jin. This is the supreme foundation. I then resolved that I must establish this supreme foundation to enter the heavenly, venerate realm in a flawless state. But now I had fallen into a predicament. The slaughter body tempering technique and the devouring body tempering technique I possessed had both begun to wane in effectiveness. The supply of high-grade demonic beast flesh and blood in the sect storehouse was also insufficient. I now urgently needed other methods that could temper my physical body to its absolute limit. Just as I was feeling perplexed, I discovered that at the end of the manual, various body tempering methods were recorded, such as medicinal baths and vein-warming techniques. After carefully reading through them, my heart was filled with delight. I then picked up little Xianxia from my feet. Little Iron, I mused, you truly are spiritual, knowing what troubles me. In that case, let us first go to 100 Herbs Peak to see if there are any medicinal blood-warming bath techniques. Immediately after, I steered my flying ship towards 100 Herbs Peak. Many elders witnessing this scene let out sighs of relief. Shua was so excited he was nearly in tears. All his efforts, all this time. Shi Qi has finally seen the light, he exclaimed. It seems that after Shi Qi learned of the body tempering methods, he desires to break through to the legendary Supreme Foundation. Shangguan-kun nodded in agreement. I wonder if he is seeking a medicinal bath vein warming technique, or perhaps a nourishing flesh medicinal pill technique. Any type makes little difference, Lu Daoji chuckled. For our Elder Wang is truly a grand master in this path, and the esteemed Peak Lord of 100 Herbs Peak at that. Hearing his senior and junior brother's praises, Elder Wang also smiled with satisfaction. Elder Wang's alchemy skills were not only unparalleled throughout the land, but he also possessed profound expertise in medicinal herbs and spiritual plants. He had improved and researched numerous body tempering techniques. When undergoing body tempering, even the Saint Sun and Sintess received his assistance. Although they might not achieve a supreme foundation, they could still reach the pinnacle of their cultivation. At this moment, I was controlling the flying shuttle. The system's voice echoed once more. Ding, the system has detected the host's breakthrough to the 3rd layer of body tempering. Activating real-world check-in task. Arrive at the 100 Herbs Peak's medicinal garden. Reward, the golden talent pill heart of discernment. This grants you an unparalleled intuition towards the medicinal properties of all herbs, bestowing a profound spiritual connection. Your comprehension in this field will be greatly enhanced. Hearing this, I raised an eyebrow. This system is truly intelligent, I mused. To activate such a simple check-in task at precisely this moment, could it be that it fears I won't grasp the body tempering techniques of the 100 Herbs Peak? As these thoughts crossed my mind, I soon reached my destination. I then swiftly made my way to the medicinal garden, preparing to test the medicinal bath meridian warming technique. Just as I arrived at the entrance of the medicinal garden, the system's prompt sounded timely. Real-world check-in task complete. Reward has been issued. Hearing the voice, I knew the talent had taken effect. I decided to find some medicinal bath prescriptions to test it out. At this moment, Tai Tai, who had been resting in my embrace, suddenly sprang out, tumbling and rolling in one direction. Seeing this, I quickly gave chase. Following its lead, I arrived at a grand hall on 100 Herbs Peak, overflowing with ancient authoritative texts. Amidst the disorderly stacks of books, Tai Tai managed to find a table specifically dedicated to medicinal bath prescriptions. Witnessing this, I couldn't help but inwardly commend it. Truly formidable, Tai Tai. As expected of a native, it knows all the hidden spots. Immediately after, I picked up several medicinal bath prescriptions and began to read them carefully. This time, it was truly extraordinary. Although I had never before delved into the knowledge of herbal medicine, a profound intuition now welled within me, allowing me to instantly discern the efficacy and potency of these prescriptions. I found myself frowning in thought. This prescription is far too inferior, and this one is merely average. Who developed such formulas for meridian-warming medicinal baths? Alright, this one shows a little promise, but only a little. None of these achieve the effect I desire. Unbeknownst to me, Elder Wang was driven to fury by my words. Can this be true? He seethed. What audacity. How dare he question the prescriptions of a master like me, whose knowledge spans 3 millennia? Hearing his outburst, the other elders quickly rushed to console him. Elder Wang, please calm yourself. Why stoop to argue with a mere junior? Shi Qi's knowledge is shallow. It's only natural he wouldn't grasp the profound subtleties within your prescriptions. Upon hearing their persuasion, Elder Wang gradually calmed down, though he still cast an irritated gaze downwards. I don't fault him for not understanding, he grumbled, but he shouldn't be so verbose. And to point out my deficiencies? What does he know about medicinal herbs and spiritual plants? He even called these prescriptions inferior and said they didn't meet his standards. Hearing Elder Wang's lament, the other elders quickly agreed and offered further consolation, not daring to let him fall into a rage again. Only Peak Lord Liu Daoji of Heavenly Craft Peak dared to ask, "Then are your prescriptions truly of an inferior standard?" As these words were uttered, the other elders all gazed at him in astonishment. Shinkan shook his head, lamenting inwardly, "These boorish iron-forging cultivators truly lack discernment." Hearing this, Elder Wang's face flushed crimson as he explained, "Senior Brother Liu, my prescriptions are certainly not as profound as the medicinal bath formulas left by our founding patriarch. However, in this era, heaven and earth have shifted. Many spiritual herbs have long been extinct, rendering ancient prescriptions unusable. These few prescriptions of mine, though crafted somewhat offhandedly and not reaching the highest pinnacle, can still undeniably be called good formulas." Upon hearing this explanation, everyone present understood. While these medicinal bath prescriptions were not bad, to use them for Shi Qi with his 9-layered hidden scripture pavilion aptitude would indeed be an insult. Afterwards, the Sect Master glanced at the still dissatisfied Elder Wang. "Very well, if Shi Qi's actions were not intentional, let us set this matter aside. Now Shi Qi should find the correct prescription. Junior Brother Wang, Junior Brother Zuo, the two of you, please cooperate and assist." Seeing that the Sect Master Senior Brother had spoken, Elder Wang Xiao no longer hesitated. He then stood shoulder to shoulder with Zuo Simo, guiding him to the true location where the top-tier medicinal bathing prescriptions were stored. Zuo Chimo immediately controlled the small scrap iron Xianxia, sending it circling around me. At this moment, as I placed several prescriptions back on the table, I pondered inwardly. This is absurd. The Tai True Sect has been passed down for tens of millions of years. How could its medicinal bathing prescriptions be of only this caliber? Either Elder Songmen took the most valuable prescriptions with him when he retreated, or I simply haven't found the correct storage location yet. Just then, I felt a tremor near my foot. I discovered the small scrap iron Xianxia circling my pant leg. My eyes lit up, and I immediately instructed it to lead the way. Sure enough, it moved towards a small hidden path within the grand hall. I followed it to a quiet chamber, where I found it stopped at a corner drawer. And so I pulled out the drawer. Indeed, nestled within, I found a single prescription. Seeing this, joy swelled in my heart. I immediately took the prescription and read it carefully. It was the 9 Revolutions Golden Dragon Decoction. Main ingredients: 1,000-year-old golden crow vine, 9 drops of cold moon jade marrow. Secondary ingredients: 1 lang of golden dragon wood heart, and 7 chi of falling rain flowing sand. After reading it, I narrowed my eyes. Though this prescription far surpassed the previous ones, its enhancement to the physical body could not establish a supreme foundation. Furthermore, the time required was far too long. It would not allow me to contend with the coming heavenly tribulation in 3 years. I paced around the quiet chamber deep in thought. A moment later, a bold idea sparked in my mind. If the existing prescriptions here are unsuitable for me, then why not simply create a new one myself? Although I am not specialized in spiritual plants and medicinal ingredients, I can rely on my innate discerning mind to formulate new herbal combinations. The more I pondered, the more feasible this plan appeared. And so with a surge of exhilaration, I declared aloud, "Then I shall create a medicinal prescription utterly unique in this world, one that can truly help cultivators establish an unparalleled supreme foundation." After that, I placed the prescription back into the drawer and headed straight for the medicinal garden. When the elders heard my pronouncements, they could scarcely believe their ears. To disregard existing medicinal bathing prescriptions and then claim to create one's own? Was this truly acceptable? Upon hearing my words, Elder Wang Xiao was so enraged he nearly fainted. "You claim the prescriptions I wrote casually are inferior? I can tolerate that. But to claim that the proudest work of my life, one that required 1,000 years of painstaking effort, is also worthless. Then I truly cannot tolerate it." At this moment, even the Sect Master could no longer defend me. He too felt that my current display was indeed utterly disdainful of the heavens themselves. Even Transmission Peak Master Shui sighed. "A heaven's chosen should possess an indomitable will, but not blind arrogance, nor stubbornness in a field they do not comprehend. Such behavior will only harm oneself. From my perspective, more than Shi Qi's cultivation, it is his temperament that truly needs to be cultivated the most." Following his words, the other elders all chimed in, echoing his sentiments. Shi Qi's actions today were indeed far too brazen. In terms of innate talent, he is undeniably peerless within our sect, but regarding his comprehension of medicinal herbs, how much could he possibly know? Most importantly, the one he dared to doubt was not merely an ordinary elder, but Elder Wang Xiao, the venerable master of the medicinal garden. Elder Wang's expertise in the realm of medicinal herbs is renowned across the entire continent, peerless among his generation. How many could truly stand shoulder to shoulder with him? This 9 Revolutions Golden Dragon Decoction is already the most effective body-tempering medicinal bathing prescription I have ever witnessed. Shi Qi wants to create something even better? Is this not utter delusion? Hearing these words, Elder Wang Xiao's inner indignation dissipated considerably. Yet, he still looked down with a gloomy countenance. To disdain this old man's prescription? This old man regrets ever giving it to you. If you are truly so capable, then do not use it. Hearing this, the elders exchanged glances. Then Liu Daozhe patted his shoulder, attempting to console him. "Junior Brother Wang," Liu Daozhe began, "Shi Qi is indeed a bit arrogant, but the young lack experience. To cause a small, laughable incident is quite normal. Why must you take such offense at him? It would be better to guide him first, and let him use the 9 Revolutions Golden Dragon Decoction for his medicinal bathing after all. Hearing these words, Elder Wang Xiao sighed, again with this same reasoning. Fine, 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 this time I shall forgive him. He then turned to Zuo Cimo, who was once again preparing to control the small beast puppet. It was then that he spotted me, sitting amidst a pile of scrolls and texts in the medicinal garden's grand hall, engrossed in a volume of comprehensive explanations of spiritual herbs. Elder Wang Xiao's eyes widened in utter disbelief. You're actually studying? That detailed tome on spirit herbs was in fact his own creation. However, its contents were so disorganized that he never permitted outsiders to lay eyes upon it. Yet, beholding my focused expression as I read, occasionally overcome with uncontrollable joy, he found himself intrigued. Just moments before, he had been incensed by my audacious remarks, but now, witnessing my unwavering concentration upon his own writings, his anger found no purchase to ignite. The Sect Master approached, a hearty laugh escaping his lips. Elder Wang, he boomed, it seems Shi Qi truly comprehends your work. Yet the profound path of medicinal herbs is one that even you, Elder Wang, toiled for millennia to master. What benefit could Shi Qi possibly gain by perusing it now? Could he truly intend to surpass you, Elder Wang, and forge a medicinal formula of his own creation? Having spoken these words, the Sect Master himself pondered inwardly. Surely Shi Qi must discern the profound principles contained within. Especially after completing the detailed tome on spirit herbs, he ought to grasp the immense difficulties inherent in the path. Why then does he remain ensconced within the scripture pavilion, refusing to emerge? The other disciples within the sect whispered amongst themselves, we thought Senior Brother 17's audacious declarations hinted at some profound skill, but he merely dedicates himself to immediate study. Yet his reading speed is astonishingly swift. Could he truly intend to formulate his own body-tempering elixir? How could such a feat be possible? Pinnacle-grade meridian tempering formulas are invariably the closely guarded secrets of the great sects, painstakingly forged by the combined efforts and wisdom of generations. Could Shi Qi possibly devise an elixir superior to Elder Wang's own? If he does, I shall personally scrub clean the very foundations of the Centessa's Grand Pavilion. Yet 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. During this time, they observed that not only did I maintain my astonishing reading pace, but I also frequented the medicinal garden, meticulously comparing various spirit herbs and spiritual flora. Each of them began to question their own judgment. This peculiar situation persisted until the 4th day. It was then that I closed the final tome, my eyes shutting for a moment of profound contemplation. Following this, I began to inscribe upon a pristine sheet of paper. The elders of the Taiyi Zhenshu sect watched, unblinking, their gazes fixed intently. Elder Wang Tuxiao, in particular, had his eyes glued to my every stroke from the moment my brush touched the paper. Once I completed the medicinal formula, Elder Wang Tuxiao began to read the characters inscribed upon it. He recited 3 Lihua pearl fruits, a few drops of Zhuanming true water. Auxiliary components, 1 earth vein purple Ganoderma, 2 tails of azure dragon wood heart, 5 Qian of white tiger sharp gold sand. The guiding elixir, a single golden-winged heavenly silkworm exuviae. His voice gradually diminished to a whisper. The other elders all turned their gazes upon him, only to behold Elder Wang Tuxiao's countenance darken with grave disapproval. Preposterous, this is no medicinal formula, this is unequivocally a poison prescription. Lihua pearl fruit and Zhuanming true water cannot be combined within a single concoction. To do so would incite spiritual energy turbulence, shattering one's meridians. The golden-winged heavenly silkworm exuviae is by its very nature a substance of extreme toxicity. While white tiger sharp gold sand may open the orifices, its combination with azure dragon wood heart would, by the principle of metal overriding wood, inflict grievous harm upon the liver meridians. Should anyone truly immerse themselves in a bath prepared from this formula, I fear not a single soul would survive. In the preceding days they had repeatedly attempted to manipulate the puppet to contact Shi Qi, yet each endeavor proved fruitless, for I was utterly engrossed in the study of medicinal herbs. Beholding this sight, the assembly of elders found themselves helpless to intervene. They reasoned that once Shi Qi struggled a few times without success, he would by nature abandon his efforts. Thereafter, he would obediently adopt Elder Wang Tuxiao's body-tempering elixir. Yet who could have foreseen that rather than crafting a body-tempering elixir, I would instead, with apparent ease, concoct a pinnacle-grade poison? If left unchecked, to continue immersing myself in this formula would surely lead to my own demise, would it not? Though Elder Wang Tuxiao seethed with righteous fury, he harbored no desire to witness a promising young life extinguished before his very eyes, all due to an erroneous concoction. At this juncture, the Sect Master issued a stern command. No, Junior Brother Zuo, he declared, you must prevent Shi Qi from this folly, no matter the cost. Zuo Cimo hastily affirmed, Sect Master, I shall endeavor with every fiber of my being. After a period of adaptation, he had grown more adept at manipulating the beast puppet. Employing the puppet's secret art, he directed it. Within the grand hall of Baicao Peak, little Chuhengqi, the beast puppet, lifted its head to gaze at me. It then nudged my calf, but my focus was entirely consumed by the formula. I merely spared it a glance and murmured, good boy, go play by yourself. With that, I took the formula and departed. Witnessing this spectacle, the elders all turned their grave countenances towards Zuo Cimo. An unseen burden of pressure descended heavily upon his shoulders. Zuo gritted his teeth, intensifying his manipulative control. Under the relentless transmission of his divine sense, little Xianxia staggered into the air, then clung stubbornly to me, striving to capture my attention. Yet, at this juncture, my thoughts were wholly consumed by the intricate prescription, completely oblivious to Theet's peculiar antics. The Lihua pearl fruit, as a heavenly material and earthly treasure, inherently possesses a power surpassing that of Xuanming true water. Thus, one cannot select a specimen of excessively ancient vintage, lest it utterly overwhelm the latter and disrupt the delicate balance of primary attributes. 1,000 years of age would suffice. However, the majority of Lihua pearl fruits within the medicinal garden boast 10,000, even 100,000 years of cultivation. My opportunities are scarce indeed. Pondering as I walked, I soon arrived beneath the ancient Lihua tree. It was then that I glanced back, only to discover little Xianxia still trailing behind me, ceaselessly shaking its head. Beholding this, a flicker of sentiment stirred within my heart. It appeared to possess an intimate familiarity with the medicinal garden, likely sharing a favorable rapport with Elder Wang. With the entire sect having withdrawn, it alone remained, diligently guarding the sect's precious assets. It seemed to fear that a disciple such as myself might pilfer the pearl fruits, incurring the elder's future wrath and punishment. Truly admirable. Then I merely smiled and gently patted its head. To take without asking is theft. This principle I understand. But my dear, only the two of us remain in this entire sect. This place has now become ownerless. I am the sole disciple of the Tai True sect. To take these for my own use cannot be considered theft. As these words left my lips, Xianxia ceased its shaking, and the elders within the Tai True void fell into a stunned silence. They hadn't expected me to doubt the puppet junior martial uncle who tried to stop me. Nor did they believe that my method of harvesting the spirit fruits in the medicinal garden, or my medicinal prescription, could be flawed. After all, I had only studied herbal knowledge for 3 days, yet dared to write my own prescription. This was indeed audacious confidence. Thus everyone could only watch helplessly as I plucked the fire lychee fruit from the tree. What was worse, I deliberately chose fruits that appeared unripe, a sight that left many disciples utterly speechless. An inner disciple sighed deeply, saying, "Even I can tell that the quality of these fruits is poor, yet he still picks them. Has he truly studied herbal knowledge for 3 days and still not learned how to discern the age of a spirit herb?" Upon hearing these words, the other disciples also wore peculiar expressions. Before, my earnest demeanor while studying had intimidated them. They had believed I possessed some extraordinary talent. But when I intentionally selected unripe fire lychee fruits, it revealed my utter lack of understanding in herbalism. After all, the ripeness of such a spirit fruit can be easily discerned from its appearance and spirit energy. Even an ordinary disciple could comprehend this. They then began to murmur amongst themselves, "If this is all it takes to write a medicinal bath prescription, then I could write one too. Why then did he not use the prescription Elder Wang had prepared? He must feel that his innate talent is astonishing and has grown arrogant. Others walk the path of medicine for thousands of years before achieving anything, yet he, after merely 3 days of self-study, already wishes to rival them. What delusion is this? With such reckless abandon, it's no wonder he courts his own demise. He clearly possesses such powerful cultivation talent, so why does he stubbornly obsess over such trivial matters? If he truly bathes himself to death, it would certainly set a new record for a supreme talent dying from a medicinal bath down here. Indeed, others use medicinal baths to nourish their meridians and physical bodies, causing their strength to surge. Yet Shi Qi uses a medicinal bath to nourish his meridians, only to dissolve his own flesh. Now, even if the elders wished to intervene, they could not. They could only lament. One who does not act recklessly will not perish. Look quickly. Shi Qi has almost gathered all the ingredients for the prescription. Could he truly intend to immerse himself in it? The elders too furrowed their brows, gazing downwards. I had already brought forth a large cauldron and was adding the medicinal herbs and spirit plants according to the prescription. Xianxia, by my side, continuously emitted warnings, having exhausted all its means. Yet I was entirely immersed in my own world. This is truly infuriating. The Sect Master let out a profound sigh. So be it, life and death are fated. He then closed his eyes, no longer wishing to witness the spectacle below. Among everyone, only the holy son Li Zhongyun was the most agitated, his heart pounding intensely. Ever since Shi Qi's emergence, he had continuously courted death, yet each time he transformed peril into safety. In the process, he had repeatedly shaken Li Zhongyun's Dao heart. Now this fellow was up to his old tricks again, intending to immerse himself in a bath of potent toxins. I refused to believe that even this will allow you to turn things around. As he thought this, he seemed to already envision the moment he would reclaim his position as the foremost disciple of the sect. He then focused his gaze intently on the scene below. This medicinal bath, only with the immaterial root, blood-condensing dew, and primordial violet qi, could its volatile energies be quelled, a singular chance, granted but once. I then continuously shifted my focus, meditating serenely within the cauldron. The discomfort in my body gradually dissipated. My physical form, meridians, and root bones all underwent a profound metamorphosis. At the same moment, seeing me safely immersed in the medicinal bath, the disciples and elders alike were utterly dumbfounded. Lu Daoqi turned his head to look at Principal Wang. "Shi Qi isn't dead, old Wang. Isn't this a false military report you're giving us, deceiving us?" Even the principal couldn't believe his eyes, looking downwards. His mind reeled for a moment before he suddenly enlightened himself, slapping his forehead. "I know now. It's the immaterial root." Seeing that everyone still wore confused expressions, he excitedly explained to them. "That is the last remaining immaterial root in the sect planted by the 105th generation medicinal garden master. It has existed for 2 million years. Shi Qi used this ancient immaterial root as the medicinal guide. While meticulously controlling the age and dosage of the other medicinal herbs and spirit plants, ultimately forming a delicate balance, causing the various energies within this prescription to no longer clash, but instead harmonize and complement each other. What truly ingenious alchemy! The more he explained, the more agitated he became, eventually gesticulating wildly. The elders now largely understood. Shi Qi had discovered the singular path to equilibrium amidst a myriad of clashing medicinal properties. This was truly extraordinary, almost beyond belief. In a mere 3 days, he had single-handedly formulated a supreme body-tempering medicinal prescription. It was at this moment that Wang Xiaozhang detected something amiss. No, that's not right, he mused. I see spirit qi coalescing into bone-like forms above his head and a faint mist of heat surrounds his body. Yet, there's also a strange energy current, an energy that doesn't belong to any of the spiritual ingredients in this formula. What is this phenomenon? He then gazed intently downwards. At this moment, a voice suddenly resonated. It is the primordial violet qi. Hearing this, Wang Xiaozhang instinctively turned and, upon seeing the newcomer, hastily paid his respectful greetings. This person was none other than Grand Elder Nanzhong. Nanzhong, appearing without the slightest hint of an oppressive aura, gently addressed Wang Xiaozhang's lingering doubts. Within this medicinal bath cauldron, Shi Qi also added a primary ingredient you have never before witnessed, a wisp of primordial violet qi born with the dawn's light and drawn into this place. As these words were uttered, everyone present reverberated with shock. Wang Xiaozhang looked at him in astonishment. Could it be that primordial violet qi can also be collected by mere mortals? Nanzhong nodded. A great sage king can indeed usurp the very source of heaven and earth for their use, obtaining it with a mere raise of a hand. But Shi Qi also accomplished this feat, likely due to his formless root. This unique trait can draw a wisp of primordial violet qi into the medicine. However, for it to succeed, there must be other hidden conditions at play, such as the precise timing and the sequence of addition to the medicine. Even this old man cannot discern these intricacies. I can only wait to inquire about them from Shi Qi himself later. Upon hearing these words, the elders all fell silent. A technique that only a sage king could deploy, yet he accomplished it at the third layer of body tempering. This revelation shattered their perceptions. Wang Xiaozhang's heart was utterly shaken. Shi Qi was merely a newcomer who had studied herbal knowledge for only 3 days, yet he possessed such world-shaking talent. He recalled that just 3 days prior he had criticized this very formula as a deadly poison. At this thought, Wang Xiaozhang's face flushed crimson, and a powerful sense of helplessness enveloped his entire being. I have studied this Tao for 1,000 years, yet I cannot compare to someone who learned for 3 days. Hearing his lament, the Sect Master patted his shoulder. Junior brother Wang, there is no need for self-abasement. It is as the saying goes. Extraordinary individuals are bound to accomplish extraordinary feats. Shi Qi is a heaven's chosen talent, appearing once in a million years within our sect, and the first mortal physique in the human realm to break through its own inherent limits. Whatever happens to him is no cause for astonishment. Hearing the Sect Master's comforting words, Wang Xiaozhang's heart felt much lighter. He then mused inwardly. It seems that previously, when Shi Qi had just finished writing the formula, even you, Sect Master, did not believe he could succeed. Now you're quick to sing praises of extraordinary individuals achieving extraordinary feats, but this Shi Qi truly is far from ordinary. Once his medicinal bath for nourishing his meridians concludes, perhaps he should follow the path of pill refinement for physical cultivation. Medicinal pills and herbs share a common origin. Their deepest pharmacological principles are interconnected. If this individual possesses such profound talent in herbal medicine, then perhaps he is also a master of pill refinement. By then, I absolutely must not act petty. If Shi Qi truly embarks on pill refinement, regardless of whether he studied for 3 days or innovated his own formulas, I only need to assume an air of absolute certainty that he will surely succeed. And when Shi Qi successfully refines a supreme medicinal pill, the entire sect and even the upper realms will surely praise my discerning eye. Thinking thus, Wang Xiaozhang couldn't help but chuckle inwardly. Tang Zhen, standing beside him, looked at him with confusion. Senior brother Wang, why do you wear such a cunning grin? Wang Xiaozhang waved his hand dismissively. It's nothing. I merely thought of something amusing. The others paid no attention to the commotion here, their gazes fixed on the situation unfolding below. After clarifying the situation, Nanzhong vanished from the spot, returning to the depths of the Tai True Void to continue his study of the obstructed exit problem. And as the Grand Elder departed, many disciples felt the oppressive pressure dissipate, immediately followed by a flurry of whispered discussions. Good heavens, to use the very source of heaven and earth as a primary ingredient. Shi Qi's prowess was truly astonishing. Even Peak Master Wang failed to comprehend it, leading us all astray. Now, had Shi Qi previously studied herbal knowledge? Surely not, for why else would he be poring over texts now? This could only mean Shi Qi had attained this profound level in mere 3 days. I had initially believed he was merely putting on an act, but to my surprise, his accomplishments were terrifyingly real. He truly was a celestial being descended, a reincarnated grand alchemist. His audacious act of guiding the primordial violet qi into the medicinal bath now reasonably explained all his previous enigmatic behaviors. Yet at the very same moment, a new dilemma arose. This supreme medicinal prescription, utilizing the primordial violet qi as its principal ingredient and the formless root as its medicinal guide, what would its final effect truly be? Not only were the disciples consumed by curiosity, but even the esteemed elders and officials were engaged in fervent discussion. This prescription, drawing upon the very origins of heaven and earth, possessed an efficacy that could not be measured by conventional means. I venture to say it would amplify one's strength by at least 10 times. Would that not be an unprecedented feat, a legend for the ages? Impossible. Such a thing is beyond the realm of possibility. The cultivation of the body tempering stage only allows one's inherent strength to double upon reaching critical, significant realm breakthroughs. From antiquity to the present, never has it been heard that in the minor sub-realms of cultivation, one could rely on external forces to double their physical prowess. Ninefold amplification is already a staggering achievement, bordering on the impossible. To nourish one's meridians through medicinal baths and elevate one's strength ninefold, such a method would be utterly unique, unparalleled across all the lands. Word of this alone would be enough to plunge all great powers into a frenzy of avarice. But what good would such a frenzy truly do? The medicinal guide within this prescription is none other than the formless root. This profound spirit herb has long since vanished, believed to be utterly extinct. This very bowl of medicine might well be the last of its kind, an irreplaceable treasure across all creation. Yet I believe that with Shi Qi's unparalleled talent, should he desire to compose a prescription of equal caliber, it would pose no insurmountable challenge. After much fervent speculation and debate, they finally reached a consensus. The efficacy of Shi Qi's medicinal bath should at best achieve a ninefold amplification. In their estimation, this was already an exceedingly ambitious expectation. When he first entered the body tempering realm, his strength measured a formidable 18,000 caddies. After arduous cultivation and a breakthrough in his realm, it surged to 33,000 caddies. Even after his painstaking cultivation within Lifeng Valley, his peak strength only reached 54,000 caddies. Ultimately, relying on the unique effects of the third body tempering layer, his strength merely doubled. A ninefold increase was believed to be the absolute limit for enhancing the physical body within the minor realms of the body tempering stage. To achieve a tenfold increase had from time immemorial been an impossible feat, never accomplished by any cultivator. Even Shi Qi's own previous two body tempering breakthroughs were no exception to this established truth. Thus, by his attempt, everyone naturally assumed he would likewise fail to surpass this insurmountable barrier. At this very moment, I remained immersed within the medicinal bath, my eyes closed in profound meditation, diligently cultivating. The bubbling medicinal concoction allowed its potent energies to permeate my four limbs and every single meridian, every pore. Not only did I unblock previously hidden meridians, but the primordial violet Qi itself transformed, flowing into and reinforcing my vital channels. By the seventh day, the once opaque black medicinal bath had turned utterly transparent. I sensed an imminent breakthrough, a profound transformation on the horizon. Then with deliberate calm, I slowly opened my eyes. Mere moments later, I leaped effortlessly from the immense cauldron. I then immediately made my way to the training grounds of Baicao Peak, eager to test the newfound limits of my strength. Upon witnessing my physique after emerging from the bath, the disciples gathered at Taiyi Jinshu erupted into a chorus of fervent exclamations. "Senior brother Shi, how could you? In this entire sect with nary a soul in sight, you still wear clothes." "But senior brother Shi, your physique is truly exquisite beyond compare. These muscles, so full and sharply defined, truly a breathtaking sight." Meanwhile, the elders watched with eager anticipation, awaiting my display of strength. With a flash in my eyes, I strode forward and directly seized the specially crafted cauldron, one I had never attempted to lift before. Raising it initially with two hands, I then shifted, supporting its colossal weight with a single arm, and discovered I still possessed strength to spare. This very cauldron, forged from the rare black sand mysterious iron, weighed an astounding 230,000 caddies. Witnessing this incredible feat, everyone present at Taiyi Jinshu was utterly dumbfounded. Elder Lu Dao, counting on his fingers, calculated. Shi Qi's previous one-handed strength was a formidable 108,000 caddies. Now, having broken through to the fourth layer of body tempering, he could effortlessly lift a cauldron weighing 230,000 caddies. Did this not mean that the physical enhancement achieved through that medicinal prescription had reached an astonishing 12-fold amplification? Upon hearing this staggering figure, the Sect Master nodded, his face alight with joy. "Excellent, excellent. Shi Qi is truly worthy of being the Kailan prodigy of our sect. A 12-fold increase, a strength of 230,000 caddies at the fourth layer of body tempering. With such an unfathomably profound foundation, his future was undoubtedly limitless, his potential beyond all measure." The disciples of both the inner and outer sects were astonished, but as the Taiyi Jinshu buzzed with fervent activity, I had already returned to the main hall of 100 Herbs Peak to cleanse myself, then proceeded to the storage to find a new set of true disciple robes to change into. Having tidied myself, I clasped my hands behind my back, beginning to contemplate important matters. Although the body-tempering medicinal bath method was remarkably effective, there was only one 2-million-year-old formless root, making it impossible to replicate this medicinal prescription. However, residual primordial violet Qi still lingered within my body, capable of continually nurturing my meridians and tempering my physical form throughout my future cultivation. As there were still numerous spirit herbs and Ganoderma within the medicinal garden, I intended to intelligently utilize their medicinal properties, transforming the heaven and earth treasures within the garden, along with the flesh and blood of high-level demonic beasts from the Provisions Hall of 10,000 Beast Peak into a prepared meal. This, combined with my innate physical strength absorption talent, would promote the growth of vital energy and blood. This method would allow me to smoothly overcome the cultivation process of the fourth layer of body tempering. After finalizing my next cultivation process, I glanced at the paper, brush, and ink on the table and couldn't help but write down the prescription for the medicinal bath. I named this prescription the Taichu Daoyan Tang. Afterwards, I placed this prescription into a jade box and positioned it on the most prominent spot on the bookshelf. Having completed these tasks, I picked a few choice spirit herbs from the medicinal garden and headed straight for the provisions hall of 10,000 Beasts Peak. Meanwhile, everyone, upon seeing that I had left the prescription at 100 Herbs Peak, was moved to admiration by my actions. Incessant praises poured forth. Shi Qi's character is truly worthy of being our sect's successor. We all misunderstood him before. Indeed, previously, when we saw him arbitrarily depositing contribution points into his token, we thought his character was improper. Now it seems it was merely him making the best use of everything. Teichu Dayan Tong, yet its efficacy is truly worthy. From now on, the #1 meridian nurturing method under heaven will originate from our Tai Zhen. All the elders looked at Shi Qi with satisfaction. Wang Xiaozhang, too, had regained his composure after reviewing the prescription. For Shi Qi had explicitly stated that this prescription originated from 100 Herbs Peak's medicinal garden, demonstrating his affection for 100 Herbs Peak. Once news of the Taichu Daoyan Tong originating from 100 Herbs Peak spreads, the world shall be shaken. A peak master of 100 Herbs Peak, such as myself, would naturally benefit from the glory. The more Wang Zhang thought, the happier he became. Shi Qi truly has good intentions, and the fame of this #1 medical formula under heaven will belong to our 100 Herbs Peak. Just as the elders were happily discussing, Lu Daozhe suddenly spoke up with a doubtful tone. But how will Shi Qi cultivate next? Why do I see him returning to 10,000 Beast Peak? The moment these words were spoken, everyone else also looked bewildered and perplexed. Only Tongzhen seemed to have realized something, his expression suddenly changing drastically. Oh no, he brought 300,000-year-old heaven and earth treasures to the provisions hall. He intends to use my high-level demonic beast flesh and blood as auxiliary ingredients to cook a pot of supreme delicacies to enhance his body tempering effect. The instant these words left his mouth, everyone looked down, and indeed, they saw me controlling a flying vessel to land, then heading straight into the storage. Wang Xiaozhang, however, happily chuckled and patted his shoulder. Junior brother Tong, be a bit more magnanimous. Shi Qi is our sect's inheritor. Just now he brought such great merit to the sect. What's the harm in him eating and drinking a little? Hearing this, Tongzhen snorted coldly. You speak well, but you haven't considered how much this brat can devour. Do you really think you can escape unscathed? Shi Qi clearly intends to use ancient heaven and earth treasures, combined with high-level demonic beast flesh and blood, to cook, then use his body-tempering digestion method to refine his physical body. But don't forget, he cultivates the Wuji Daozong divine art. He needs to eat at least 3 meals a day. How many heaven and earth treasures in your Elder Wang's medicinal garden will be enough for him to consume? Upon hearing this, Wang Xiaozhang was immediately dumbfounded. Thinking of how my extravagant eating habits would deplete his accumulated medicinal garden resources, his heart ached to the extreme. Lu Daozhe of Heavenly Craft Peak secretly rejoiced, grateful that his peak's management wasn't heavily involved with body tempering and thus would not be implicated. After all, artifact forging required skill, precision, and time to forge. It could not be learned overnight. Therefore, he was certain that I couldn't possibly run to Heavenly Craft Peak to ruin his materials. At this moment, I had already combined level 6 Shuaming Rhinoceros meat with Juxing Blood Lotus, Dieng Dragon Ginseng, and 100,000-year Yushui Lingji, cooking a pot of body-tempering delicacies. Upon smelling the aroma, I immediately scooped a large bowl and began to eat. As my physical strength absorption talent took effect, I could feel my physical body beginning to strengthen. And just as I once again used the body-tempering digestion method to cultivate, everyone above watched with irritation, gnashing their teeth. This fellow is using the entire sect's resources for himself, eating mountains and seas of delicacies, drinking jade nectar and spiritual dew. Who could possibly bear this? A group of disciples were so envious they stared blankly. The elders stared wide-eyed. Could the flesh of high-level demonic beasts truly be utilized in such a manner? Tongzhen, swallowing hard, discussed the matter with Wang Xiaozhang. Based on Tongzhen's understanding of demonic beast flesh and Wang Xiaozhang's analysis of various heavenly materials and earthly treasures, the two were utterly astonished to discover that my method could indeed comprehensively enhance the efficacy of body tempering. And so, the entire sect watched as I cultivated the 4th layer of body tempering through extravagant feasting. I consumed 3 meals a day according to this standard, and the strength of my physical body rapidly increased. By the 3rd day, I could effortlessly lift 270,000 caddies with one hand, yet I still felt as if something was missing. Thus, on the evening of the 4th day, no sooner had I finished my dinner than I commandeered my flying shuttle and soared over the mountain peaks. After an hour, the flying shuttle finally came to rest upon a secluded mountain. Upon the mountain, a magnificent palace stood. A grand plaque above its entrance bore 3 characters, Sheng Nugong Cultivation. The body tempering stage emphasizes eating, training, and nurturing, with sleep holding an exceptionally significant and crucial proportion. Presently, my eating and cultivation regimens were well established. Only sleep remained a deficiency. What I pursued was not mere sleep, but rather to borrow a bed crafted from wondrous materials to nourish my physical body. As I sought a place for slumber, I pushed open a door and discovered a circular bed, entirely jade-colored, on the 2nd floor. I first felt its material, discovering that while it was cold to the touch, a subtle warmth soon seeped into my skin. This discovery brought a quiet delight to my heart. Indeed, the Saintess's belongings were far from ordinary. It seemed I had found the perfect spot. At that moment, the weariness from a day of cultivation washed over me, and I naturally lay down upon the bed. In an instant, a wave of cool energy permeated my limbs and meridians. My taut muscles relaxed, and the circulation of qi and blood within my body accelerated accordingly. I comfortably closed my eyes, unable to suppress a sigh of contentment in my heart. Truly exquisite. The artifacts within this Xuanhuan world are indeed extraordinary. And even as I performed this series of actions, within the Taizhenmen, chaos had long since erupted, with sounds of admiration, envy, and resentment exploding in unison. Meanwhile, the elders all maintained their usual composed expressions, while the Sect Master chuckled and remarked, "This young fellow certainly knows how to seize an opportunity." This very bed utilized 100,000-year cold jade as its primary material, layered with 9 strata of blood silkworm threads, and its pillows were stuffed with the unique Isol orchid from the far north. Let alone a body-tempering realm cultivator, even a spirit-severing realm cultivator sleeping upon it year-round could cleanse their meridians and marrow. Upon hearing this, the other elders likewise laughed and conversed. After all, currently, there were no other core disciples in the sect. Shi Qi, as a direct disciple, simply claimed the cultivation resources that naturally fell within his purview. Moreover, this young fellow even used the heavenly materials and earthly treasures from the Yaoyuan medicinal garden as mere snacks. What harm could there be in him utilizing a single bed? Only Lu Daozhe, after several moments of hesitation, finally ventured to speak. "Fellow disciples, have you perhaps forgotten? Our Saintess Jiao has never truly departed from the Taizhenmen." As these words left his lips, everyone's expressions changed drastically. That's right, how could we have forgotten such a crucial detail? The Saintess has always been within the sect, engaged in secluded cultivation beneath Zhanlong Cliff. Before, we overlooked Shi Qi's audacity in trespassing into the private chambers because we believed no one was present in the sect. But what if, upon emerging from seclusion, she discovers another person in her bed? Wouldn't she surely strike Shi Qi dead? After all, the Saintess has no knowledge that we have bestowed upon Shi Qi the title of a direct disciple. At this moment, Yu Xiao gazed at everyone with a wry smile. Her secluded cultivation typically lasts at least 3 to 5 years, sometimes even more than a decade. Surely we won't be so unlucky as for her to emerge now, will we? The other elders remained in stunned silence. Even as everyone pondered this dilemma, they discovered that I, below, was sleeping soundly, as if dead. And over the next few days, my life was remarkably simple. Each morning after rising, I would first practice a set of the 5 Peaks True Form Fist, then proceed to Baicao Peak and Wanshou Peak to select ingredients for my delicacies. The remaining time was dedicated entirely to cultivation, returning to the Shengnu Gong only late at night to rest. I also adhered to the principle of alternating intensity and relaxation from the Wuji Daozong. Thus, after each cultivation session, I would ride my flying shuttle to tour the sect. Until one day, after concluding my cultivation, I felt the abundant qi and blood within my body was on the verge of resonating with my current cultivation realm. I anticipated a breakthrough to the 5th layer of body tempering by the following day. This prospect filled my heart with immense comfort. Therefore, after leaving the training grounds, I rode my flying shuttle, soaring leisurely towards Zhanlong Cliff. I mused to myself, if not for the great calamity of heaven and earth, I would truly wish to live each day as leisurely and unrestrained as this. Thereafter, inspired by the scenery, I composed a poem. Within the secret realm, Tongzhen, hearing my poem, couldn't help but exclaim, "What a magnificent poem! Who would have thought that our great direct disciple Shi is accomplished in both literary and martial arts?" Upon hearing this, the other elders clapped in praise, yet only Lu Daozhe gazed downwards with an astonished expression. "Fellows, observe, isn't that young man heading directly towards Zhanlong Cliff?" Upon hearing these words, everyone simultaneously looked towards the trajectory of the flying arc, then began to discuss amongst themselves. It truly was Zhanlong Yai, this young lad unexpectedly arrived here. Could it be that he disturbed the Saintess, causing her to emerge from seclusion early? If so, that would be excellent. We would then have hope of leaving this place. But the Saintess does not know Shi Qi, nor does she know his unique status within the sect. If she becomes wary and even acts to strike him down, what then? Junior brother, you are worrying too much. Lang Yun is our Tai Saintess, not some demonic overlord committing heinous crimes. How could she possess such murderous intent? The Zhanlongyai they spoke of is the sacred cultivation ground of the Tai True sect, originating from the sect's founding when Tai Daozun and a Taigu Zhenlong, seeking vengeance, battled for 10 days and 10 nights, finally slaying it here. After the dragon's blood seeped into the earth, this place was once engulfed by the true dragon's resentment. After being refined by Tai Daozun, its dangers were eliminated, and through 10,000 years of nurturing, it became a blessed grotto heaven. Cultivators who achieve a breakthrough here can receive the blessing of the residual true dragon's essence. Furthermore, there are rumors that those with great fortune can, from the lingering dragon shadow, comprehend the dragon clan's supreme divine abilities. However, these rumors have never been substantiated. Moreover, access to this place is extremely strict. Once someone enters seclusion, the formation will close to protect them. Because the elders' Xianxia puppets do not possess the breath of living beings, they could neither enter nor awaken the Saintess. But I, with my exceedingly abundant life force, could potentially be sensed by the Saintess. Therefore, perhaps after tonight they might escape this secret realm. In that instant, everyone looked down nervously, praying in their hearts that I must surely attract the Saintess's attention. At this moment I had arrived above Zhan Longyai and gazed at the inscriptions on the stone stele. While taking a sip of wine, I mused aloud. Zhan Longyai slew a true dragon, what utter fabrication! A Taigu Zhenlong is a 9th-grade divine beast that once mature is nearly invincible in this world. The founding ancestor was merely a human. How could he have slain a dragon clan member? How could I possibly believe such a tale? Recently, I frequently visited the scripture depository to consult ancient texts. The books state that a Taigu Zhenlong is the most formidable among divine beasts, its power at the absolute pinnacle. Yet the stele before me describes Tai Daozun, whose power pierced through heaven and earth, as having even slain a true dragon. This is truly exaggerated. However, I reconsidered. After a faction's reputation rises, it always needs to embellish its founder somewhat. A little boasting is not truly blameworthy. At this moment, drowsiness overwhelmed me. I then rode my flying ark and departed. The next day, I arrived at the Yanwu-Chang with renewed vigor. At this moment, the resonance between my qi and blood and spiritual energy within my body had reached its absolute limit. It seemed I was on the verge of a breakthrough. Thinking this, I grasped the great cauldron and began to wield it, preparing to guide the resonance to complete my breakthrough. Meanwhile, the elders above were all dejected. Merely because yesterday I had inadvertently entered Zhan Longyai, but only paused for a moment before leaving, failing to attract the Saintess's attention, their hopes had been raised and then dashed. It was unknown if the Saintess simply didn't notice, or if some unforeseen event occurred during her cultivation. At this moment the Sect Master glanced at the dejected crowd, then spoke to console them. Cease your wild conjectures. The Saintess is within the sect. No unforeseen incident shall befall her. Yu Xiao also nodded. Everyone has been in this secret realm for so long, there is no need to rush now. For now, let us focus on Shi Qi. He is about to achieve a breakthrough. Hearing these words, everyone directed their gaze towards the Yanwu-Chang below. They saw me wielding the artifact when a sudden surge of power erupted brightly downwards. Then a smirk played upon my lips as I tossed aside the great cauldron in my hand and took up a heavier, specially crafted cauldron. After testing each one, I finally realized my arm strength had reached 440,000 caddies. Witnessing this scene, the disciples of both the inner and outer sects were astonished. Only at the 5th layer of body tempering, his single arm strength had already reached 440,000 caddies. Truly terrifying. He hadn't even utilized the doubling effect of the 6th layer of body tempering. If he were to unleash his full might, a single punch could very well exceed 1 million in power. Furthermore, Shi Qi possesses a top-grade heaven-tier martial skill. The destructive power he could unleash would be even more immense. The mere thought of it sent shivers down their spines. From the sidelines, the various elders erupted in applause and praise. Excellent. With Shi Qi's current physical strength, establishing a peerless supreme foundation will be as effortless as turning one's hand. As long as he does not perish prematurely, perhaps in a few centuries our sect shall once again boast a peak God Ascension expert. The last time our sect saw the emergence of a God Ascension expert was already hundreds of thousands of years ago. However, Shi Qi has pushed the limits of his body tempering technique to such an extreme, he has likely reached its current peak. The medicinal effects of heavenly treasures and spirit herbs will gradually wane unless he can acquire higher-grade monster beast essences. Without them, he would struggle to achieve such rapid advancement as he does now. Shi Qi must seek new paths for body tempering. He could use vein-nourishing pills to fortify his flesh and utilize fire-killing blood-cold water to temper his bones. These methods are readily available, yet he has only experimented with a few. It remains to be seen what path Shi Qi will choose next. They simultaneously praised and worried for my future cultivation progress, yet I had long since formulated a plan in my heart. Upon leaving the martial arena, I immediately boarded a flying boat and headed directly for the Pill Palace on 100 Herb Peak. The moment I stepped through the grand entrance of the Pill Palace, a distinct ding echoed in my mind, a notification from the system. Host detected within the Pill Palace. A limited-time sign-in quest has been activated. Reach the highest floor of the Pill Palace within 3 minutes. Reward, a single formation-breaking talisman. Upon hearing this, my brows furrowed slightly, a flicker of delight dancing in my eyes. Meanwhile, the elders, observing my arrival at the Pill Palace, burst into jubilant applause. Shi Qi has finally come to his senses. He should have begun using medicinal pills for cultivation long ago. This child, having come from humble origins, has undoubtedly never consumed medicinal pills and thus remains ignorant of their miraculous properties. As the ancient proverb goes, a single top-grade medicinal pill can be worth 10 years of arduous cultivation. Old Wang, quickly bring forth the medicinal pills you've been safeguarding. Shi Qi will consume many of them later. Do not for a moment feel remorseful about their loss. Upon hearing these words, Wang Xiaozhang merely laughed it off unfazed. Am I truly such a petty individual? They are but a few medicinal pills. What is there to regret? Furthermore, were not medicinal pills refined precisely for consumption? To be consumed by the young prodigies of our sect is their true purpose. Witnessing his righteous pronouncements, Lu Daojia, without a shred of politeness, immediately exposed him, retorting, I wonder who it was. Who that year was so furious when the Saint Son requested an 8th-grade heavenly pill that he had to beg the Sect Master senior brother to intervene on his behalf. Upon hearing this, a fleeting trace of embarrassment flashed in Wang Xiaozhang's eyes. He then glared and retorted, can the circumstances of today truly be compared to those of the past? Qingyun was the saint's son, whereas Shi Qi holds the esteemed position of a direct disciple. As a direct disciple, he possesses the right to utilize all of the sect's resources for his cultivation. Furthermore, my alchemy techniques have reached true mastery. I have ascended to the rank of a 9th grade alchemist. Thus, I naturally feel no regret over an 8th grade heavenly pill now, unlike that time. No sooner had he finished speaking than everyone nodded in agreement. Yet, Liu Daojia interjected once more, asking provocatively, "Junior brother Wang, what if it were a 9th grade saint pill? Would you still part with it so readily?" Witnessing Wang Xiaozhong speechless, completely dumbfounded by the question, Liu Daojia pointed at him and burst into raucous laughter. "See," he taunted, "whenever he encounters a difficult question, he falls silent once more." At this moment, a sudden flash of inspiration ignited in Wang Xiaozhong's mind. He then waved his hand dismissively. "Of course I would wholeheartedly allow Shi Qi to consume a 9th grade saint pill. It is merely that this particular medicinal pill has been sealed within a powerful preservation formation by my own hands. At this moment, I cannot descend to retrieve it, nor can I manipulate it remotely. Even if I desired to grant it to Shi Qi, my hands are tied." Upon hearing this, Shu Wuxuan inwardly scoffed with contempt. Junior brother Wang is once again feigning generosity, he mused. It would be far more refreshing if he were like that other junior brother who openly displayed his reluctance. The pill is encased with information. Shi Qi cannot retrieve it even if he wished to consume it. Is this not simply a convenient excuse? At this juncture, the Sect Master cut short their bickering, casting a sidelong glance towards Zuo Jimian. "Enough, cease your chatter," he commanded. "Junior brother Zuo, use your spirit beast to guide Shi Qi to the medicinal pill." Zuo Jimian cupped his hands, acknowledging the order. However, just as he prepared to give the command, he noticed me below, advancing directly towards the highest floor of the structure. My 5th level body tempering cultivation rendered my speed akin to a phantom. The little Xianxia behind me almost flapped its wings to the point of smoking, causing Zuo Jimian to break out in a cold sweat. He secretly murmured to himself, observing Shi Qi's path. Was it possible he already knew the precise location of the medicinal pills? Wang Xiaozhong too pondered silently. Could his own manual have revealed the hidden location of these precious elixirs? As the two men were lost in their thoughts, I from below had successfully reached the upper levels. Following the system's prompt, the reward had already been deposited into my system space, but I paid it no mind, gazing blankly ahead, finally understanding within my heart why the system had bestowed upon me a formation-breaking talisman at this precise moment. Before me lay a space shrouded by a deadly formation. Within it, thousands of medicinal pills floated, and at the highest point, several 9th grade saint pills shimmered. In my astonishment, I recalled how disciples of the great sects often spoke of storing their most precious treasures within their respective sects, due to stringent security. Carrying them outside risked plunder. Yet, several doubts now arose in my mind. Something felt amiss. The entire sect had evidently retreated. With no powerful experts left to guard it, shouldn't the most valuable artifacts have been carried away? Even the 9th grade saint pills were left uncollected. What dire circumstances could have possibly befallen them? Or perhaps, the entire sect did not actively retreat, but rather vanished passively? But I quickly shook my head. What was the use of such speculation? This world had only 3 years left until its doomsday. Let them go wherever they pleased. My most urgent task, however, was to cultivate diligently and survive the coming great calamity. With that thought, I directly activated the formation-breaking talisman. In the very next second, the radiant glow of the formation before my eyes completely vanished. I then stepped inside, and the moment Wang Xiaozhong witnessed the formation disappear, his calm facade instantly crumbled. What is happening here? How did the formation just vanish? Taoist Liu burst into laughter on the spot. "Junior brother Wang, this is quite amusing. I wonder if your previous words still hold true? If Shi Qi consumes your 9th grade saint pill, you won't be able to go weeping to the Sect Master anymore." Hearing this, Wang Xiaozhong's face flushed crimson. After a moment, he grudgingly uttered, "I, of course, always stand by my words." Then, what if Shi Qi consumes the dragon elephant marrow tempering pill? He is, after all, a prodigy of our sect. If I don't give it to him, then to whom? Hearing these words, Taoist Liu smiled and clasped his hands in salute. "Then I shall congratulate junior brother Wang in advance. The elixir junior brother refined has found its true purpose, consumed by the prodigy Shi Qi." Just as Taoist Liu had predicted, I quickly located that 9th grade saint pill. As I stood beneath the elixir, it automatically descended, settling gently into my palm. A surge of information then flowed directly into my sea of consciousness. This elixir was named the Dragon Elephant Marrow Tempering Pill, for sealed within it was a wisp of the primordial dragon elephant spirit essence. Upon consumption, it could grant cultivators in the body tempering realm a powerful and greatly enhanced physique, making it an indispensable elixir for physical tempering. Just as I prepared to consume this extraordinary elixir, the system's voice resonated once more. Ding, detecting host surrounded by a multitude of elixirs, activating special golden ability, 100 refinements into pill. Ability description, no grade limitations. Your 100th pill refinement will inevitably result in a successful creation. Upon hearing this, I was momentarily stunned. Then a profound thought blossomed in my mind. If I were to refine first grade pills until the 100th attempt, then switch to a peak grade pill formula, even the legendary 10th grade divine pills could be successfully refined, simply by timing the opening of the furnace correctly on the 100th attempt. Furthermore, while cultivating in the body-tempering realm, one could consume elixirs below the 7th grade at will. However, elixirs of 7th grade and above could only be consumed once. Greedily consuming more would lead to pill poison accumulating in the body, irrevocably harming one's cultivation foundation. I had originally intended to consume this dragon elephant marrow tempering pill to break through to the 6th layer of the body tempering realm. But now, with the 100 refinements into pill ability, I needed to ponder my next move with utmost care. With this realization, I gently placed the dragon elephant marrow tempering pill back down. A 9th grade saint pill was indeed remarkable, but the foundation forged by a 10th grade divine pill would be boundless. With this 100 refinements into pill ability, all I needed was to acquire a 10th grade pill formula and its accompanying ingredients. Then I turned and began to descend the levels, searching intently through each floor for hidden pill formulas. Witnessing this scene, the elders within the secret realm were utterly bewildered. What is Shi Qi doing? He isn't consuming the dragon elephant marrow tempering pill to temper his body. Why is he heading downstairs? Is he planning to ransack Junior Brother Wang's entire collection? Junior Brother Wang, what treasures does your pill hall truly hold that have captured Shi Qi's attention so fiercely? Surely you aren't secretly stashing away something extraordinary, are you? Wang Xiaozhong at this moment was also brimming with suspicion. Just moments ago, witnessing me grasp the dragon elephant marrow tempering pill, his heart had leaped into his throat. Though he knew he'd have to part with that elixir sooner or later, a profound reluctance still clung to his heart. It was only when I set down the medicinal pills and turned to descend the stairs, seeking other items, that he finally let out a sigh of relief. After all, it seemed Shi Qi had given up on that medicinal pill. He chose not to take it himself, rather than me withholding it. Just as Wang Xiaozhong was about to speak, Tongjin nudged his arm. Senior Brother Wang, Shi Qi has stopped. It seems he has found what he was looking for. Quickly, see what this room is for. Hearing this, Wang Xiaozhong narrowed his eyes and looked down. This is where pill formulas are stored. Inside are both the formulas I research daily and the works of the Pill Palace's sages. But what is he doing here? But as he finished speaking, his expression immediately darkened, and he couldn't help but gasp, drawing a cold breath. At this moment, I had already found 29 10th grade pill formulas on jade slips on the 3rd floor of the pill hall. My gaze then settled on one of them. It was precisely the 10th grade pill formula suitable for the body tempering realm, the primordial undying body pill. Refining this medicinal pill required primordial chaotic energy and 6 other types of divine materials. It then needed to be placed into a pill cauldron cast from primordial chaos stone, and refined with the 9 revolutions yin-yang true fire for 10 days and 10 nights straight. Moreover, the pill's effects were utterly terrifying. Not only did it guarantee that a 9th layer body tempering cultivator's physical body would possess 1.6 million jin of strength, but it also granted the heaven-defying effect of infinite bodily growth. This characteristic of infinite, acquired growth was exceedingly rare. After reviewing the introduction, I immediately went to the 5th floor of the pill hall to search for the ingredients. The success rate was the least of my concerns, but within the storeroom, I only found 5 types of single-ingredient materials. All that was missing was the true dragon's reverse scale. Yet this item was the most crucial part of the ancient divine beast, the primordial true dragon. When fully mature, such a creature could be considered unrivaled under heaven. It was likely that no one could obtain its scale. Just as I was feeling anxious, a glowing object swiftly flew down from above the storeroom. I focused my gaze and felt a surge of ecstatic joy in my heart. Is this not the true dragon's reverse scale? I never expected the Tai True sect to be so formidable, to even possess a divine item of this caliber. Then what was inscribed on the stone tablet, was it truly factual? Tai Taoist Venerable truly slew a true dragon there? His power was simply too overbearing. After compiling all the materials, I let out a deep breath. Everything was now ready. It seemed heaven itself was aiding me in refining this divine pill. Yet even as I verified the materials, everyone on the Tai True Void grew increasingly bewildered. What exactly is Shi Qi doing? First, he searched through all the floors, and after finding the formulas, he ran to the storeroom. Could it be he intends to refine pills? Hearing this, Liu Dao let out a cold snort and swiftly changed the subject to Wang Xiaozhong. What is Shi Qi doing all this for? In the pill hall, the one thing we are never short of is medicinal pills. Even if he were to consume 8th grade heaven pills as if they were candy, with Junior Brother Wang's magnanimity, I doubt you would mind. Am I not right? Hearing these words, Wang Xiaozhong's eyelid twitched. Bangzhen quickly stepped forward to mediate. Senior Brother Wang would naturally not mind, but the question we should be discussing now is, what exactly is Shi Qi doing? Hearing these words, Liu Dao immediately fell silent. The Sect Master, however, gazed down at the pill hall below and then spoke. Junior Brother Wang, do you recognize the formula inscribed within that golden jade slip? Wang Xiaozhong cupped his hands and replied, reporting to Sect Master Senior Brother, merely by looking at the exterior of the jade slip, one cannot discern its contents. However, based on the several types of materials he found in the storeroom, I deduced that the formula within that jade slip must be for the primordial undying body pill. This pill is a 10th grade divine pill corresponding to physical cultivation. Upon hearing these words, all the elders revealed expressions of astonishment. Could it be that Shi Qi intends to refine a 10th grade divine pill? Pills of this grade had not appeared for millions of years. This was because such pills not only required incredibly rare ingredients and presented immense difficulty and refinement, but with the changing environment of heaven and earth, the success rate had also steadily declined. Although Shi Qi had once miraculously created a supreme medicinal liquid formula, refining pills was far more difficult than researching such formulas. Therefore, it would be exceedingly difficult for him to succeed this time. Suddenly, Lu Dao exclaimed in astonishment, "Shi Qi has gone to the pill hall's study to peruse pill refining books." Everyone looked over upon hearing him, only to see me sitting amidst a room filled with bookshelves, poring over an introductory book on pill refining. The various peak lords and elders' mouths twitched as they involuntarily recalled my actions when I was in the medicinal garden previously. The Sect Master lightly shook his head, but this time he did not speak with such certainty, instead turning to look at Wang Xiaozhang. "Junior brother Wang, you are the expert. Do you think Shi Qi is capable of refining this 10th grade divine pill?" Upon hearing these words, Wang Xiaozhang instinctively wanted to shake his head, but remembering the humiliation he suffered before everyone in the medicinal garden last time, he resolutely nodded. "Based on my 3,000 years of pill refining experience and having personally activated the furnace millions of times, refining a 10th grade divine pill for Shi Qi is truly as effortless as turning one's hand." The moment his words fell, all the elders and disciples present were astonished. Lu Daoji laughed, patting his shoulder. "Old Wang, you've truly become wiser, but there's no need to be so serious when joking." The Sect Master also looked at him with an incredulous expression. "Junior brother Wang, stop jesting. Many disciples are listening here." But Wang Xiaozhang solemnly interrupted him. "Sect Master, my affirmation of Shi Qi is akin to my affirmation of my own pill refining techniques. Exceptional individuals often possess exceptional talents." This saying was uttered by the Grand Elder, and it is also something that senior brother yourself has acknowledged. I hope you will keep it in mind. Hearing this, the Sect Master's heart felt as if 10,000 horses were stampeding. "Oh, junior brother Wang, the words I spoke were merely to appease you. How could you take them seriously? A mere youngster who just began learning pill refining, and you, a 9th grade pill master. You tell me he can definitely refine a 10th grade divine pill? This is fundamentally impossible." For a moment, he was at a loss for words. The other elders, seeing Wang Xiaozhang's resolute stance, also felt their hearts waver. In an instant, everyone once again erupted in whispered discussions. The outer sect disciples, after hearing Elder Wang's evaluation, most found it preposterous, yet there were also quite a few who admired me, firmly believing that I would definitely succeed. At this moment, after a day and a night of poring over books, I headed straight to the pill refining room. This action immediately drew the attention of everyone within the secret realm, but when they clearly saw me standing before the pill furnace, taking out several familiar medicinal herbs, they couldn't help but reveal a look of sudden realization, followed by successive astonishment. These are the ingredients for refining a first-grade spirit recovery pill. It seems senior brother Shi Qi isn't so foolish after all. Instead of directly refining a 10th grade divine pill, he intends to use a low-grade formula to test things out first. The difficulty of refining a spirit recovery pill is very low. With senior brother Shi Qi's talent, which Elder Wang has affirmed, he will likely succeed in refining it in just a moment. The elders also looked down with anticipation, only to see me ignite the earth fire and then toss the ingredients into the pill furnace. Lu Daoji curiously looked towards Wang Xiaozhang. "Junior brother Wang, how is Shi Ji's pill refining progressing?" Wang Xiaozhang chuckled confidently. "From this angle, it's not clear, but senior brother Lu, to ask such a question, aren't you underestimating him too much? Shi Qi is the one whom I've affirmed can refine a 10th grade divine pill. A mere first grade spirit recovery pill is naturally as easy as turning one's hand." But no sooner had his words fallen than exclamations of shock rang out from beside him. He lowered his head to look and was instantly dumbfounded. Black smoke billowed from the pill refining room below as various ingredients frantically spewed from the pill furnace, turning into scattered ashes everywhere. I can't believe Shi Ji's pill furnace exploded. Along with the explosion of the pill furnace, a barrage of questions followed. What is this situation? Which senior brother well-versed in pill refining can explain this to me? Is this spirit recovery pill truly so difficult to refine? Isn't it something anyone can do? This common medicinal pill is found everywhere. Is this the peak pill refining talent Elder Wang spoke of? If this is considered genius, then I can do it too. At this moment, Wang Xiaozhang's face was filled with bewilderment. The Sect Master immediately spoke up to inquire, "Junior brother Wang, do you discern anything?" Hearing this, Wang Xiaozhang's lips pursed as he pondered for a moment, deciding to maintain his previous stance. He then calmly replied, "Shi Qi is refining pills for the first time. He simply hasn't grasped the knack yet. Next time, it certainly won't explode again." Having said this, he resolutely looked down. At this moment, I coughed and crawled out of the pill furnace, dusting off my clothes. I let out a sigh. It seems I have no talent for pill refining, but it's fine. After all, I have a special ability. The first 99 attempts are just practice. After adjusting my mindset, I once again entered the pill refining room, preparing to begin a new round of pill refining. The observers in the secret realm looked down expectantly, only to see me, with a serious expression, toss the ingredients into the pill furnace. My technique rigorously followed the requirements of the formula, appearing quite proficient. Wang Xiaozhang nodded in satisfaction. Just wait and see, this time Shi Qi will surely demonstrate his true skill and show everyone what a genius truly is. But before his words had even finished, a massive explosion was heard from below. The entire pill furnace was violently shaken in place by the surging energy. Upon witnessing this spectacle, Lu Dao's face filled with astonishment as he opened his mouth. A true genius indeed. To refine a mere grade 1 medicinal pill, yet manage to explode a grade 5 pill furnace into such a state. Peng Zhen, unable to hold back, gently advised, "Senior brother Wang, perhaps it's best to cease. It seems Shi Qi may not possess the innate talent for pill refinement." Hearing these words, a stubborn glint ignited within Wang Xiaozhang's eyes. He retorted loudly, "I refuse to believe I have misjudged this individual. 3 times is the charm. This third attempt, Shi Qi will surely succeed." Yet no sooner had his words faded than a vast plume of billowing black smoke erupted from below. Witnessing this scene, countless disciples stared wide-eyed, utterly dumbfounded. Heavens above, is this truly the legendary peak pill refining genius? To refine a spirit recovery pill and successively explode 3 furnaces in quick succession? This is truly unprecedented. What exactly is Shi Qi doing? I understand now, Elder Wang is merely playing a jest upon us. In truth, Shi Qi is a genius at exploding pill furnaces. In a certain aspect, to successively explode spirit recovery pills 3 times, the difficulty is no less than refining a heaven-grade elixir. Yet Wang Xiaozhang remained unyielding. True geniuses never concern themselves with temporary gains or losses. A man's true metal is forged through 100 trials. 3 failures are insignificant. If Shi Qi is truly capable, let him explode 50 furnaces consecutively, otherwise do not claim I have misjudged him. Hearing this, all the elders collectively sighed. Even the Sect Master himself could no longer bear to watch. He wished to intervene, yet found it inconvenient to speak directly before everyone. In the end, he could only suppress a sigh, and decided to observe further. Amidst such a peculiar atmosphere, everyone within the Xuan sect watched with wide eyes as the protagonist ceaselessly refined pills and exploded furnaces. By the time night fell, the protagonist had failed to succeed even after 50 furnaces. Yet the protagonist showed no signs of fatigue, instead exhausting the numerous outer sect disciples who watched on. They all believed the protagonist possessed no talent for pill refinement. No matter how stubborn Elder Wang might be, this was an undeniable truth. Wang Xiaozhang's mood was equally dismal. He roared in his heart. "Shi Qi, what in the world is wrong with you? Before, when I told you to concoct a poisonous prescription, you created a miracle. So why, when I declare you a genius, do you fail so miserably? Do not extraordinary individuals possess extraordinary talents? Do something, quickly!" The other elders, seeing his ashen face, secretly sympathized and refrained from mentioning the matter further. As the faint moonlight cast its pallor, a sudden resounding shout echoed within the secret realm. Peng Zhen, visibly excited, pointed downwards. "Senior brother Wang, quickly look! Shi Ji's 99th attempt at refining the spirit recovery pill has finally succeeded." As these words escaped, a profound bitterness welled up within Wang Xiaozhang's heart. To refine even the simplest spirit recovery pill required 99 attempts to succeed. This was enough to prove just how utterly abysmal Shi Ji's talent for pill refinement truly was. At this moment, Lu Dao looked at him. "Junior brother Wang, do you still believe Shi Qi is a pill Dao genius, capable of refining grade 10 divine elixirs?" Hearing this, Wang Xiaozhang finally relented. He let out a deep sigh. "I have truly misjudged. Shi Qi, he possessed no talent for alchemy." This news quickly spread throughout the secret realm, becoming known to all disciples. A few began to mock him, while the majority of disciples felt only regret. As everyone reacted differently, our protagonist below began a new endeavor. He was seen excitedly carrying a pile of raw materials towards the inner hall's alchemy room. Witnessing this, everyone was stunned. He had just successfully refined a spirit recovery pill. Why was he now attempting a 10th grade divine pill in his very next attempt? Snapping back to reality, Wang Xiaozhang immediately cried out in alarm, "Quickly, make him stop!" The fire-guiding array of the Chaos Cauldron is extremely difficult to control. If he fails to master the heat, he will be blown to ashes. Upon hearing this, the Sect Master's expression changed. He had not anticipated that refining a 10th grade divine pill would be so perilous. He then urgently looked towards Zuo Shimuo. "Junior brother Zuo, quickly see if you can use the spirit beast to stop Shi Qi. Do not let him act rashly." Seeing this, Zuo Shimuo hastily contacted Fei Tian Xiao Chongqi, but in the end he was still a step too late. By then, our protagonist had already thrown all the medicinal ingredients into the cauldron. The array within the Chaos Cauldron detected the ingredients, and the fire-guiding formation immediately activated. Witnessing this scene, everyone felt a pang of sorrow. After all, they had observed him in the secret realm for many days, even considering him a potential successor to the sect. To say they felt no affection would be a lie. Yet, he insisted on alchemy, leading to this point. Who else could be blamed? Yu Xiao turned her head away, unable to bear the sight, but after a long moment, the anticipated explosion never came. She opened her eyes, only to see the elders staring dumbfounded downwards. Following their gaze, she saw our protagonist intently controlling the cauldron's formation, showing no signs of losing control. After a long pause, someone finally spoke. "How can this be? He is actually able to control the white flame within the Chaos Cauldron. That is the Grand Solar True Flame. Anything ordinary that touches it will be incinerated. Using this flame for alchemy is like walking a tightrope. Even a slight mishap will turn the ingredients to ash. Yet he now appears so composed. Is this still the same Shi Qi who caused 99 cauldron explosions?" Hundreds of disciples found themselves utterly bewildered. Even the elders were deeply perplexed. As Wang Xiaozhang marveled at our protagonist's cauldron controlling techniques, he suddenly noticed the intensity of the Grand Solar True Flame within the cauldron was rapidly increasing. Just as the cauldron seemed on the verge of exploding, our protagonist's palm subtly flipped, using spiritual energy to guide the fire-guiding array. Immediately after, a blue flame imbued with the frigid essence of Grand Yin erupted forth. In an instant, it replaced the Grand Solar True Flame, filling the entire cauldron. Our protagonist devoted himself entirely to controlling the Grand Yin True Flame. The medicinal liquid within the cauldron gradually fused amidst the interplay of ice and fire. Just as the medicinal pill was about to take form, the entire alchemy hall suddenly shook violently. The Tai True Void was finally forcibly broken through by the three Grand Elders, and the Xuanzong realm immediately returned to normal. Unflustered and without haste, our protagonist unleashed his final alchemical incantation. When the cauldron opened, a golden beam shot straight into the heavens. It was the 10th grade divine pill itself, soaring out, transforming into a golden dragon that coiled and soared in the sky. The Grand Elder stroked his beard and let out a hearty laugh. Magnificent. Those 99 cauldron explosions were not failures, but rather you borrowing failure to comprehend the Tao of Yin and Yang mutual generation. Our protagonist collected the medicinal pill into his palm, then gazed at the dumbfounded assembly of the entire sect. The vitality of the Great Tribulation of heaven and earth lies not in medicinal pills, but in the Tao heart. With a sound, the medicinal pill shattered, transforming into 10,000 streaks of golden light that flew into the bodies of every disciple. This is truly the pill I sought to refine. A pill that allows the entire sect to achieve a breakthrough together, elevating the sect's realm. From this day forward, the Tai True sect will usher in a new legacy, and I have found a path even grander than self-salvation.